Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Professionals. I'm Graham Nolan. The rotating show that goes from each of the Bros channels. Tonight, it lands on N for me. And tonight, we're going to be talking about those Comic-Con nightmares. We've all been... Comic-Cons are great. We love going to them. We love interacting with the fans. And it's usually a wonderful time. But there are those nightmares. There are those few cons where either there's problems travel, there's the promoter or whatever it is that make it a nightmare. And so that's what we're going to go over tonight. It should be some fun stories. I know we have a bunch of them queued up and ready to go. So let's bring the bros in. The first man is the Cordrath man, that bloody bastard, Mr. Andy Smith.
Bloody bastard. I like it. Hello.
Hello. How are you tonight,
Hello.
Andrew?
Doing good. Thank you very much. Doing good.
Good. All right. Well, then we have Mr.
Yes.
Black and White himself, Mr. Art Thibert.
Yes, how you guys
Who, by the
doing?
way, was the first one here tonight. I just got to let the chat know. I got to give props to Art. First man in.
Yeah, let's not
He
get all
was.
crazy here, but yeah, it may happen again. I can't make any promises. You never know with me. But you know what? I got some crazy con stories, man. Some crazy
Nice.
stories. This could be a great night. Yeah.
Well, I got
Crazy.
one involving you.
Yes. I can't wait.
Oh, well.
It's not a nightmare story. It's the first time we met.
Oh, great. That I don't
Hey, he doesn't
remember.
remember. See, that's the part of the story.
You could make anything up. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
It's like Graham.
All
You
right, we're
should.
gonna
Just
go
as
over
I'm
the-
telling you, you should as a test. But now he knows. But I was
I
just saying,
would-
as a test, it would have been funny if you just made something up and Art's going, "Oh yeah, I remember
That's
that."
a good
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Yeah. We knocked a couple
Oh,
beers
yeah.
back at the bar. Yeah.
Let's bring in Old Man Winter, the man from the West Coast, the man who's not willing to travel to New Jersey to be with his brothers, Mr. Aaron Lopresti.
It hasn't even happened yet, and I'm never going to live it down. Well, Andy may be the first man. I tried to be the last man today, but Fraga beat me to that. But I did get my product placement on, so I'm ready to go.
Oh, there you go. Well done. Well done.
Well, as far as last man, it's going to be somebody other than Dan.
Oh,
That
that's
is true. That is true. I mean, we've got plenty of boom for this room, so let's bring it in.
Boom!
Ooh, I like that.
What's up, gentlemen?
Hello, Danny.
So-
Happy Tuesday.
Oh, nice
to you.
mug.
Oh, thank you.
Let me
Zoom
see it.
Zoom.
Oh, nice.
It's Alice in Wonderland. It's a Zoom Zoom.
Oh, I thought it was a
It's,
Powerpuff Girl.
No, the thing that's great is most of my coffee mugs get like 8-10 ounces. I can put 16 in this. I put 12 in, but it's got a half calf with some Manuka honey and some mushrooms.
Oh,
Not
my
those
God.
kinds.
Wait a minute.
Not
now.
those
Not those
kinds.
kinds. Lion's
now.
mane, cordyceps. You know.
Yeah, you're drinking out of a shroom-eating little child's head.
Well, there you have it. That's
Dude, I'm
how you see
tripping hard
life.
right now, man.
It's true meeting child's head. Very nice. Very nice.
Eat
So
me.
our buddy Billy is at
Yeah.
his son's wrestling match, and he'll be in a little bit as soon as he gets back. So let's just say a quick hello to some of the folks in the chat room. Richie Dupe is here. What about her in the steadfast Prater 7? And Prater 7, no, there are no classified documents at my house.
But there are in mine.
Pastmaster Dan is here. Randy
Yeah.
Howell from Canada is here. Dan Genovese. David Brohawk Williams is
That's
here.
the man. We love Dave.
He is one of the talents. Chris Juliano, he says, yo. Marcus Kellegrew is here. He's driving back from Charlotte to Clemson. Oh, you
Oh,
should have
dang.
stopped by and seen Andy. You could have been on the show.
That's a drive.
Yeah.
I'm going to mess this one up again.
Bro.
G1 Gavux.
Yeah, but the one isn't a one.
Is it an I or is it the one sound? Is it
Gigavox?
Gigabucks?
Gigavox?
That's
Gigavox.
it is supposed to be an I. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dan.
I don't give a fucks.
Gigabytes.
Rusty the Wonder Boy, Tarks 9.
Ooh.
All right, we got a nice crew in here today. Donnie Pearson is here.
Z Comics says, I just poured a whiskey and setting in for a good show. Well, sorry to disappoint you. At least you have some good whiskey.
Thanks for
Who
tuning
said
in.
that? I didn't see that.
You might want to pour another whiskey.
Z Comics.
Yeah, you might. The show will get better the more shots you take.
Yeah.
The more
I'll
you
get back.
drink, the better we get.
Great Renzi is here. Hey,
Mm.
Nomi Sky, Donnie Pearson, Joseph Dredd, Tarks 9, Madness Productions, Mark Simon, who is wrapping up Fear of the Walking Dead. All right.
Oh, I know
does the
Mark. Mark's my
storyboards, I
homie.
believe. Yeah.
Mark
does
is an
storyboards,
amazing storyboard artist, incredible
Oh, yeah.
artist, great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love him.
Cool.
Love me some Mark.
All right, gentlemen, we've all been to shows. And we usually 90% of the time have a great time interacting with fans and in a lot of cases getting to hang out with each other. You know, a lot of shows I choose because of the destination and or the guest list. Who's going to be there? Which of my pals are going to be there? If you got a show in some state I got no interest in and none of my buddies are there, I ain't going. That's just how I roll. But there's been so many fun shows, but then there's also those nightmare shows, those ones where nothing went right, or the service was bad, the promoter was bad, the weather was bad, the travel was bad. You know, there's so many things that can go wrong in these things. So, Mr. Cordrath, the bloody bastard.
Bloody bastard.
The shirt.
Can you
yes, that is
share
me.
with us, even though you have such a positive attitude, you love everything, have you ever had a bad convention experience?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't believe
I definitely had, because
Liar.
oh, damn it. I'm not Billy. Come on.
That's true.
Yeah, I was at a show up in
Come on, Andy.
Canada.
dig.
Probably about, well, it was the year we moved here, so it was 2005.
Did you say
And
Montana?
I was in Toronto,
Oh,
Canada.
Toronto.
Canada.
Okay.
And
America's hat.
I was in Toronto for con. I was sitting next to Mr. Tom Grummett, and Tom's a good guy. First time I ever met him.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
It wasn't super busy at the show, but you know, you have those guys that come by and they just kind of look at your stuff and then they'll walk back by and they're not real talkative and stuff. And then they finally ask, oh, how long you been doing it for? And just the generic questions and stuff. And all I had on my table was photocopies of pencils. I didn't have any original art because I don't sell my stuff. So I was like, well, what's the point in taking anything? Because I don't sell it. So I just had photocopies of stuff I worked on. And, a price list and whatnot. And he asked for, he wanted a sketch. And I was like, okay, that's cool. 9x12, what are you looking for? And he told me, and I said, all right, it'll be, this much. And he just kind of pauses and just is silent for a second. And then he looks down and he goes, oh, I got wireless headphones. Well, you probably won't be able, I was going to stand up to really show it. But he just looks down and he goes, you ain't there yet. I mean, with attitude, just like that. You ain't there yet. And he walks away. And
Where yet?
and Tom looks over at me like, what? And I looked at him and I'm like, Tom's like, what the hell? What was that? And I'm like, I have no idea. I guess I'm not there yet. I'm just, after I was only 13. Wow, it seems so long ago. But yeah, it was 13 years in the business at that time. But still, just like,
Now, did
wow.
Howard apologize after saying that?
Yeah, right.
Hey,
you don't
Andy,
exactly.
Andy, was it a character that you could resell? Because usually, like, where you get stiffed on those commissions is on a character that's not that popular.
Well, no, I didn't draw anything yet. This
Oh, you
was at the
hadn't
stage
drawn it.
of him asking, and I said, yeah, this is what it would cost. What character do you want? We were just in that stage. No, I always take money up front.
Oh, I thought you'd already done it, and he came up and he's like, "You're not."
No,
there
no,
yet."
because he was
gave
just
you
looking through the
drawing back.
copies I
So
had.
he was okay with your art until he found out how much you were going to charge him for the sketch, and then you're like, dude, you're not worth that. Is basically what he was
I
saying.
think that's what he's saying.
I guess, yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, I'm sure we all have not a story where a guy reacts like that, but I mean, just a couple weeks ago.
Do you remember what the
It's,
price was you quoted him?
Back then for a 9x12, full figure was probably like 1 1/4.
Hey, listen. I try to look at the silver lining of any situation. He did use the word "yet," so he did have faith in you. You know what I'm saying?
Right, he
still
had,
had
he
promise.
did. He had,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's funny because I was at a show a couple weeks ago just here in town, and a guy came up and he started talking and stuff, and my price list is literally right there on a little easel and stuff standing up. Oh, will you draw anybody's character, or does it have to be something you worked on? No, I'm fine drawing anything. So you would draw, mine, and I'm like, sure, why not? I saw it wasn't anything hard, and he's asked me how much, and I'm like, you don't just go, it's right there. You just tell him. So I said, I think now for 9x12, it's maybe 150 or so. Still not super expensive. And he's like,
Hey, you're
he
not
was-
there
he
yet,
was-
buddy.
he was no, he was polite. He was just like,
He
oh,
obviously isn't.
I can't do that. And I'm like, okay. I mean, what are you going to say? Oh, well, let's negotiate. Well, that's fine. Bye. So,
You're not there yet.
it's not a negotiation. It's like,
Well,
this is what it
Andy, how you're going to be introduced on these shows, from here on is going to be the Andy Smith. He's not there yet.
Yeah.
right. Well, it's funny because like when the only other time I've heard that is when my wife and I are having a little time and I'm like, I'm good. And she's like, I'm not there yet. And I'm like, oh.
And then you give her $150.
And then like Jimmy, I ripped my diabetes patch off.
And got down to some business. Oh my gosh. It just amazes me the audacity that some people have. I mean, even if you didn't think, that if that's what the guy really believed, it's like, why would you say that to someone? Why wouldn't you just say, oh, I can't afford that. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at your prices and be polite. Why would you try to insult somebody? It's just, God, it's just mind numbing to me.
Well, do you guys remember before we started charging for drawings, we used to do these things for free. I would do like 50 drawings a show.
Who did these for free? I never drew for free.
It was a thing.
It was a
thing. So did I for like 92, 93, 94. I was doing free head sketches.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
yeah,
remember
Quickie head.
Yeah, I would do free head. I would do quickie head sketches.
Not full commissions, but
Right.
But I do remember, like Art said, we'd be in the triple digits sometimes at these shows, like in the heyday when there would be like lines and people crushing tables. And I'll see these things on eBay, and by the end of the day, they're like distorted, like these chins and the foreheads, and like they're like the worst version. Like at the beginning of the day, they were beautiful. Yeah, and now I always tell those people, listen, if you prove to me you burned that, I will give you a new one.
You know what the worst thing is when you're sandwiched between two really, really good talents, and everybody is really competitive. Yes. I had Mark in New York. I had Mark Bagley, and I had Dave Finch next to me. And I tell you, we were in competition. By the end of the day, we were drawing full figures, man.
You're not.
Bagley is fast too, because he can bang that stuff out.
Oh yeah.
Actually, Mark gave it up. Yeah, Mark gave up about halfway through the day and just ask Art, he'll do it for you.
Well, see, if Andy had been giving away free sketches, and the guy went, "No, you're not there yet." What do you say to that?
Oh shit!
Right? Oh no, I don't want that.
That's when you get up and punch the guy.
He uses it as a coaster.
Well, dude, you remember, and we used to have to do that at the CrossGen cons, right? Alessi made us sit there and draw for free for the fans. And they
were just head sketches, though.
Yeah, but they would come up and all they wanted was like Marvel characters. We're trying to push CrossGen, and it's like, shouldn't we be drawing cross-gen characters only? You know, but it
Right.
For free,
Right.
and then you charge for the other ones.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think. I
Yeah.
think I pretty much would tell people, no, I'm only doing. Because I remember that, and I think I always told people, oh no, it's just cross-gen characters for free.
Oh, no one ever told me what we were supposed to do, so I just drew whatever they asked for.
Yeah, no, I think I stuck to just cross-gen stuff. But I mean, going back to
Now,
what Dan
you guys
and
got
Art
paid
said.
there, though, right?
Well, it was part of our salary. It
Yeah,
wasn't pay on
technically,
top.
yeah. I mean, we weren't getting like extra pay or anything for being there. It was just we got paid X amount of dollars a year to be at CrossGen, and that was part of our job description, I guess.
Well,
was
I think I can finally admit this. I used to wear disguises, and I went in your line, Aaron, like 3 or 4 times that day. Yeah. You didn't know.
And then they
but,
went
you know,
right up on
piss me
eBay.
off. Just to
and
piss me
and I
off.
still have them in my sketchbook. They're
Well, we should have
cherished.
put them on eBay like everybody else did.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
they were too good.
How
for
about
that.
you, Art? What do you got?
Oh my!
What kind of
God.
horror story do you got?
This is a
I know
Art
Art has
had good
some.
ones.
This is an epic nightmare. I did this show, and I'm not going to name any names or even where it was, because the guy. Okay, my daughter and I would do these shows, and I think we did 2 of his shows earlier, like the 2 years prior, and they were great little shows. People were very appreciative, and they were very humble shows. And so this con, he decided that he was going to try to be a player, right? You know, he's going to spend some money, and it wasn't really on comic book people; it was on TV movie people, right? You see these guys, right? And they want to be a player, so they get all these guys. So they got like the Stranger Things kids and the cast and stuff like that in. I mean, he spent a fortune, and this is right after the first season. Yeah. It was like after, I think, like the first season. So I'm thinking, oh, it's, you know, you can't fault a guy for being ambitious. He's going to build his show, you know. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Fly my daughter and I out, and we'll support you. And so as far as comic book people, there was Chaikin, there was Walden Wong, there was Carlo Barberi, just a bunch of kind of A-list guys. And so first day of the show, well, I got to back up. I used to have an agent, so I always get paid. So I get half up front and then half, you know, at the end of the show. And so I got my first half. And so doing the show, everything seems like it's going good, but it's a little slow, right? And I think it was a 3-day show. So Friday, you never get crazy, right? You just go, well, people are at work, whatever. It'll pick up towards, you know, the evening once people get off work. And it didn't. So, you know, so there's that. So then that night, that night we're at the bar, and it's Chaikin and you know, all the guys and stuff. And then the promoter comes up, and he's like, hey, how you guys doing? And, you know, there's a little bit of grumbling, but not a lot, right? And so I catch this guy, and I say, can I get the rest of my pay? And so he's like, sure, no problem. And so he had a wad of cash, and he paid me right there. And so I was like, cool, this guy's, you know, I like this guy, you know, and he supported us last couple of years, and everything was fine. And so then, you know, Saturday we get in there, and there's less people than Friday, right? It's a ghost town, right? Oh. And he had all these like vendors, like food vendors come in. There's food trucks. Like he, you know, got all this stuff going. And so then, you know, the artists and I were just like, this isn't going well. This isn't going good. And so, you know, it's bad when the actors leave their booth and start walking around the con.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've been to one of those.
Yeah,
more than one of those.
Yeah, so these guys, these Stranger Things kids and stuff, are like, "Hey, what do you do? What are you working on?" You know, because they're bored. Everybody's just bored. So, so you know, like that's the thing about like the class divisions at cons is there's your actors and then your comic book people, right? And sometimes they even have separate green rooms and stuff. Yeah. There's this class division, right? And the neat thing about this show was that, at that moment in time, no class division. We were all just like peasants, you know, just bored out of our mind. And so then it's Sunday, and everybody's like, "Hey man, did you get paid? Hey man, did you get paid?" And then the actors and their agents are like, did he pay you?" And it's like, we didn't even get our upfront money, like, but it's all hush hush, right? Everybody's like, "Hey man, did you get?" And it's like, it's filling the room. There's nobody else out there. Just everybody's like, I didn't get paid, man. I don't think we're going to get paid. And so it didn't even go, it went maybe 3 hours and there was just I'm contempt. Everybody was just done. And so they're like, "We're getting out of here. We're not getting paid." So it was a mass exodus, like the show. Like, I've never seen anything like this. People were just leaving the show. And so we stayed, my daughter and I, we finished the show and everything went off without a hitch. And then once I got home, like the next day, I get calls from all the artists and people that knew me. Oh, do you want to read this? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Bob Gable, thank you for that $4.99 super chat. Hey, Professionals, recently was recommended some YouTube that was using your name. You need to copyright like EPS. Somebody's using the Bros?
The Professionals.
I think there's 2 guys that do something like it's called the Professionals something or other. It's similar. I can't remember, but I saw the name once. But I'm like, it costs money to copyright and trademark crap, and if you're not making any money on it, then why would you spend money to protect your copyright?
Yeah. So you guys
Wait a minute. I just got $4.99.
Oh, that's not enough to pay your legal fees though to copyright.
Yeah.
No, what I'm
trust
saying.
me.
All right,
And the thing
let's
is,
go, guys.
the thing
Super
is-
chats. We got to buy lawyers now.
Yeah, we got to. And what you do is, if it ever becomes an issue, it's just like all you have to do is look who started using it first, and then you win your lawsuit if you want to actually take it down that road. But
well, I know a guy that knows a guy, so
yeah, I know some guys too. But they
Gonna break some
charge-
legs.
charge the-
My guys know have baseball bats.
baseball bats with nails in them.
That's right. We'll go back to the old-fashioned way of handling business.
Yeah, karate chop to the neck. Yeah, in the back
Yeah.
alley. Yeah. So I get home. I'm working. I get a call from like Walden Wong. Get a call from Chaikin. I get a call from these people, and they're like, "Hey, did you get paid?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like did the convention pay for your expenses? And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How did you get?" You're like, all of a sudden it's like, "How did you get your money?" And it's like, I just asked him, and they're like, "We got charged for our rooms. Like when we were checking out on Sunday, we got charged for our rooms, and we got hit up once we got back for the plane tickets and everything." And then I'm like, "What?" And it's like,
The plane tickets too?
yeah, the guy stiffed.
Damn.
He stiffed not only the comic, he stiffed everybody.
That's
yeah,
incredible.
and so they're like, how did you get out? Like somehow I had the inside. And I said, well, 1, I get money up front. 2, I asked the guy at the show for the rest of my payment. And 3, I never use my credit card. The hotels and these guys, they always want this information, but I never give it to them. And they're like, well, they always ask, and they make it seem like you can't check in without it. I go, well, if somebody else is picking your tab up, they have that guy's credit card. I just tell them I don't have a credit card. And then that's that. And they go, oh, we're not going to give our credit card information anymore. So that was like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. And there was a mass exodus on Sunday. And also there was a crazy ass storm. Like you couldn't even see like 10 feet from the window.
Wow.
And so it was like a convoy of people going to the airport. They just wanted out of there. Right. And so there was a pileup of people leaving. So one of the trucks in the front slammed on his brake, then the other car hit, and then the other car, we were in the third car, it hit. So there was a 3-car pileup on this highway on top of everything else. And all my equipment and stuff was in the back of this truck when it started raining. So all my stuff was
Oh my God.
What state was this in?
Oh, I can't. I'm not going to say.
You can't
He
say
just
You're not
said-
going to tell us the state?
No, it was
That's
here in
pretty
Texas.
Was it
here
in the U.S.?
It was in
You
Texas.
just said it was Texas.
It was
Oh,
here.
See, that doesn't tell us anything. Texas is a
doesn't tell
huge
us
state with lots of cons. So
It is a huge state.
The guy was a sweetheart. The guy was a sweetheart. He just got way, way over his head, man. And it was sad to see because I like ambition. I like drive. I like people that are trying to make a difference, build something. And oh my gosh, this could not have blown up in his face more. It was horrible to watch.
Wow.
Wow. End the show on that.
On top of that,
wait.
the guy just disappeared. Like
I was going to ask you, was he there on Sunday or was he just like gone?
No, he was gone.
Oh, he was not even there on Sunday?
No, Saturday evening, he was gone. He knew. And all his family members, like usually these are like, hey, this is my kids, this is my wife, whatever. No, we're gone.
Oh, that's a good indication right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis Patrick, thank you for that $5 super chat. Art, you should have told them you had white privilege card.
Well, in some ways I did. I ended up getting all my money and getting out of there in one piece. So
man.
Oh, typical white guy.
Yeah, it always happens to us.
Never have to
Art
pay the
never
price.
gets pulled over.
Yeah.
No, I've been pulled over.
What about Old Man Winter? Have you ever had a bad experience at a con?
I've had. This is the interesting thing about this question because we've all got like 20 con stories, right? But it's like, is it like the story where I got humiliated at the con by a fan, like say Andy, or is it like where I got screwed over like Art at a con? Because I've had like, I've never had like a con completely blow up on me, but I've had like portions of the con blow up on me. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out.
How about a con that was a complete financial bust?
All right. Well, but see, I'm not like Art. I never got like the appearance fee money and stuff. But okay, how about this? I was in a Florida show, and I had done another con previously with this guy, and they were like, I guess they were weekend shows, so 2 or 3 day shows, and there was 2 different ones. I'm trying not to conflate the two, but it seems to me the first one, Shelly went with me. And I think Michael Golden was at that show and some other, and everything went fine. It was totally fine. Right. So then like the next year calls me up and says, oh, you want to come back? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I go back to this show and it's in a different location, a smaller location, like a hotel ballroom type situation, but just sort of like crammed in there. It was very small.
I kind of like those cons, though. Those really small.
Those are great cons if you're shopping, too.
Yes, if you're looking for old comics and stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff in there. So we go in there, and I think JR Jr. was there. John Beatty, I think, was there. Who was the guy that did the Buck Rogers strips for years? Dan Barry was there. Oh. And so I got to meet Dan Barry, which is cool. I have a vivid memory of this. We were in whatever this hotel was at. We were right on the beach, right? So it was cool, and we were out there at the bar at night, and I think JR Jr. and me and Dan Barry and probably Beatty was there at the bar, just talking to Dan Barry and getting stories out of Dan Barry, which was kind of cool. And he did this little Flash Gordon drawing on a napkin. I don't remember who ended up getting that.
Oh shit! I would have arm wrestled for that.
I think I want to see
you would have lost.
That's probably JR who got it, and you would have lost.
Maybe, because I don't have it.
I would have at least tried.
If I had got that, I would have hung on to it. So JR Jr. must have, or Beatty grabbed it. I don't know, but so anyway, it was cool from that respect. The cast from the Fantastic Four movie, the bad one, the Corman one, was there.
Oh shit, wow. That's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
So bad that it's good.
Oh please tell me you have photographs with him.
No, I didn't. I never did stuff like that.
I'm not a picture pirate. Like, I want to get a picture with Chris Hemsworth. I like the really weird.
My daughter does that. My wife does that, but I don't do that. I figure like these people I didn't want to bug them.
The freaky fringe stuff. That's so something.
Yeah, I know. It's like get it with it because no one will ever see these guys again. But and Shelley Moldoff and his wife were there. I mean, so it was and so. Anyway, so everything seems to be going okay. It was mildly attended, it wasn't great, but it was. And I do remember this humiliating moment. I mean, this was like early in my career, right? And so I was pretty crappy. And I do remember this moment. For some reason, we were all sort of talking. It was near the end of the show, like on Saturday night or Friday, the first day of the show. Beatty was there, and everybody's kind of, standing around. And they were at my table for whatever reason. So I'm standing there talking, and JR Jr. is sitting on my table, and this is worse than what happened to Andy. He's like sitting there. He picks up one of my prints that I'm selling, right? And he goes like this and tosses it down. Never says a thing, and I'm just like, wow, guess I made the list.
That's harsh.
He just made your list.
Yeah, I was like, wow,
Don't worry, though. He won't remember you next time.
I know. No one remembers me, but it was humiliating at the moment anyway. And okay, so anyway, the show's over, right? And then so I'm checking out of the hotel, and there's all this sort of like milling about, and people grumbling and stuff in the lobby, right? And some pros and things like that. And I go to check out, and they said, okay, it'll be, $500 or whatever. And this was back in the day when if someone stiffed me for the hotel, I didn't have the money to pay for it. You know what I mean? I was lucky to be there and make a few bucks. And so I'm like, whoa. I said, so-and-so is supposed to be paying for this, right? And she's like, oh, well, okay. Well, here, just wait here. We'll see if we can figure this out and everything. So I'm sitting in the lobby, and I'm not the only one sitting in the lobby waiting for this guy, right? And we're like, did you get your hotel paid for? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, jeez. And so I'm kind of panicking because I'm like, are they going to, they're going to hold me there, right? Because I didn't have the money to pay for it. And so
that's when a big guy holds you upside down and shakes you, and all your money comes out of your pocket.
Yeah, and the $57.35 I made drops out on the floor, But thankfully, the guy actually showed up. He just kind of was like drifting through, but he was taking care of the big guys, right? It's like Romita and Dan Barry, making sure he paid for them. And then he was
Those
trying
are
to
good promoters that do that, though.
But then he tried to scoot out. With us little guys. And I knew the guy because I'd been to his show a year before, and I'd actually met him. He was a retailer there in Florida, and I had met him years before. And so I kind of knew him and had talked to him on the phone and stuff. So I'm like, chased him down. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, the show didn't do all that great and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Right. I don't have the money to pay for this hotel. You got to go over there and pay for my hotel. He's like, all right. Just, but keep it on the down low.
Yeah. And don't let the word get out that I'm.
Yeah. That he's doing this. Right. So he went over there. He went over there and squared up for my hotel. But it was like, if I hadn't caught him before he left, I'd been screwed. And so I don't know what happened to any of the other people because I didn't really, I don't remember who else was there, but I remember just that sort of panicky moment. Because like I said, if it was now and I got stiffed, you'd get your credit card out and you'd suck it up and pay for it, whatever. But
Art's going, nope. I'm walking out that door, getting an Uber to the airport and calling it a day.
You guys never check out. Just leave. Like that's.
Well, see, I don't know if he even put his card on there. When I checked,
I don't know how they would hold the rooms. He'd had.
Well, they just said because you go in there and you'd say, what's your name? And you go, it's Aaron Lopresti. They go, oh, yeah, here's your reservations. So he made reservations for everybody, but apparently didn't.
Oh, shit. He didn't put a card down?
Yeah, but it didn't even register with me because they always ask you, like you said, do you have a card or whatever? And I said, yeah. So I give him my card, but he didn't have enough on it to pay for the hotel.
Wow.
And so I got suckered into that situation you were just talking about, but thankfully he showed up and I was able to grab him and make him go over and pay, and I was like, I'm sorry you didn't make any money. That's not my problem, dude. How am I supposed to get out of here? And
in good faith, you fulfilled your contract. You were there.
Right.
You signed autographs. You did drawings. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the only one where I had issue like that. I will say this here's another humiliating one because we're probably going to go around a couple times. This is real quick though, but I went to a New York show and thankfully Paul Ryan was by me. He's working on Fantastic Four, right? So we met there, Paul and Linda and me and Shelley, and we met there to hang out and do the show together. And I went into the hotel and they were like, I made the reservations. And so they're like, do you have a credit card? I'm like, yes, sir. So I gave them the credit card and I only had like $100 on my card. I mean, Shelley and I were just married. And I had no money. And what I would always do was the money I made at the con, I would then pay cash when I checked out, right? Because you always knew you could make X amount of dollars, right? You always kind of figured it, right? And this is one of Greenberg's shows at the Javits Center in New York, before
I
he
used
went
to
under.
like those. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Oh yeah.
but my card, they're like, well, sir, you don't have enough on your card to, to hold the reservation. And so I'm like, and there's people behind me. And it was like, I cannot remember if Paul stepped up and said, hey, just put it on my card and you can pay me. And I'm like, or if there was enough on there, like to cover one night. And I said, just hold it for 2 nights. I will pay you after we're going to the show today. I will have cash for you today to pay for it. But man, that was humiliating. But I can't, like I said, Paul either bailed me out or I was able to work out something where they could cover the first night and then I paid him the rest of the way. But anyway.
Ethan!
Just scratch the surface of the story.
That's funny.
Yeah,
All right,
never
boom,
give
what do you
anybody your
got?
credit card info.
Mm.
Well, I haven't really had any bad shows. Much like Aaron, there have been like little patches of things where I was like, yeah, that sucked. I can go back to maybe the first one as a pro. I mean, my first one as a pro, I guess, was WonderCon 2, but not really, because I'd been WonderCon 92. I'd been hired by Rob at that point, but I didn't have anything in print. But by WonderCon 93, I did. I had a pinup and Youngblood Zero in the can. And, it's like, yeah, I'm a pro. But I wasn't even 20 yet. I was like 19, and I couldn't drink at the bar. And anybody that's been to the WonderCon when it was in Oakland, 10th and Broadway at the Marriott, they kind of know, like, the con's downstairs, and then you go upstairs. There's a bar up there, and sometimes there's a stage. There was a band called Seduction of the Innocents that had
Billy
got, like,
Mooney?
yeah, Billy Mooney
Yeah.
and Steve
Miguel
Loyola and
Ferrer.
Miguel Ferrer, R.I.P. Yeah, and I have actually rapped on stage, and they were the backup band. It was like a good time. It might have even been that show, but the one thing I remember about being 20 or 19, almost 20, was just being like my priorities. Well, my priority was getting some ass. Like, and no, it really was. And I had a full head of hair, and like, I would usually hit on like the waitresses and things like that. But
okay.
I remember early in the day, there was this, you guys will know where it's going. So there's this really hot girl, but she was dressed like a cat, something that you would see like out of Omaha. There's a comic called Omaha, but cute little nose. But she looked more girl than cat, but it was really sexy. And she hands me this flyer. She's like, "You come into the party?" And I was like, "The party?" She's like, "It's perfect." And you look at the flyer, and it's like, yeah, something cat scratch fever, blah blah blah. It's a perfect party, right? And I'm like, if it's a party filled with girls like that, I'm excited to be there. So anyway, after the show, I go upstairs to where it is. They had got like a couple of rooms, and it was a furry party.
I was going to say it's a furry party.
Where's Malin when you need him?
Yeah. And I was like, I was trying to get out of there. Like, you know how you get in and that you kind of get shuffled in.
Mm-hmm.
I was like trying to get out of there and being talked to by like people dressed
like animals.
as animals. And while I was not able to drink, I was high out of my mind. So it was a very strange experience. I did not get any ass that night.
But you did get some tail.
But I got some tail.
Yeah.
But that there was that convention was one that was like one of memory. Like when we got the topic of the day with worst convention experience, I was thinking like, I've only had a couple. Like, I remember San Diego 95. Somebody, I found out who it was. It's the punchline, but I'd been interviewed by Toy Fair magazine, and they were asking me of all things about Black Flag toys. And the one I wanted to see as a toy the most was Gorilla, Ben Davis. And they said, "Oh, what would it be like to have, your own toys?" I said, "Man, that'd be the best thing ever." And in one hand, I'd have my big purple monkey, and in the other hand, I'd be drawing him. Right? Well, take that quote out of context, and it sounds very funny. So this person. I'm in San Diego Comic Con. This is 95. This is the year that Waterworld had come out. Liefeld had that big spaceship and
I remember that.
This full-size Badrock and a full-size Kodiak. We had all that extreme gear. Art remembers. We had hats and shirts and all this stuff.
Did Todd have his funny car?
He might have. Yeah, it might have been that year.
Too.
It might have been that year. I mean, everything. It was big and loud and big and big and loud. Like that was the thing in 95. And it was still all comics, right? But somebody comes up wearing a shirt and it's got my face on it with that quote. And I'm like, and it's like, it's a picture of mine out of Black Flag Zero where I'm like screaming, like and so they put that there and they oh shit. Travis Perrick, good memory, dude. Oh, wonderful. Look at that. Go ahead and read that.
Hey, 200 Watt Studio, thank you for that $5 super chat. Just had a bone-in ribeye again for dinner. In butter, a bit of organic cheese. You are my hero, sir.
That
Eating
sounds
like a
so
king.
good.
Well done.
Oh, and EVS is prowling the chat, so beware.
Yeah, we saw him.
Yeah, I put them up a little bit ago.
Yeah,
So I got a couple more super chats. Yeah, let me grab these. Thank you, Travis, for the $2. Tell them about Hogarth, Dan.
Okay,
And
I will.
Another $2. You have a big purple monkey on your back.
Better look out,
All right.
baby, who's back.
Better on your
look
back
out,
than
there's a
in your
monkey
back.
On your back.
Man.
So anyhow, 1995. Somebody had printed up like 10, 15 of those shirts and handed them out, thinking it was funny at my expense. So I find out that it's none other than Dave Johnson, and I'd never even met the guy. I didn't know the guy. I knew of him, but I just found it like kind of tasteless, and I think it was Brandon Peterson who was wearing the shirt, right? Like he thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Well, remember Brandon used to send faxes over. It's like Santa Claus just brought Extreme Studios some free light boxes.
Yeah.
Remember there would always be cracks like that.
Oh God, yeah. We used to go back and forth, but the one that he's bringing up about Hogarth, it's funny because there's an Art Thibert connection here.
Is this Bern Hogarth?
It is Bern Hogarth,
Okay.
the man who drew dynamic figures and Tarzan and dynamic cans and bronze balloon twisty people. That's what I always call his drawings.
His book on wrinkles and folds is the best thing.
Well,
he's
that
ever
is,
done.
see, he knows how to twist stuff, but his characters never
The
felt
figure
organic
stuff
to
was
me.
never that good. But that folds book is good.
So I'm oh shit!
think Larry-
What's up, Larry
takes
Stroman?
that. Yeah,
Larry.
I know that's
2
awful.
shows ago, I
Larry.
had horse papers at my table. Okay.
Oh
got
my!
it.
I think that
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah, I know.
I
God,
think that
Larry
wins.
wins.
So
Yeah.
there's
Doug.
this convention. It's got, I believe it's John Romita Jr., Art Thibert, Art Adams, Bern Hogarth. It was at the Cow Palace in either 90 or 91. You guys had just done that Fantastic Four that had Spidey, Wolvie, Hulk, and Ghost Rider, and blew my mind. And Art reminds me, this was when he had the sweet mullet. I would hover around because I was just enamored with the fact that this guy did what he did. But I had samples. I think Jim Lee might have been at that show too.
Jim was
maybe.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So was Silvestri, I think.
Yeah, that's right. They were, and I really was excited to show my stuff. And I saw Bern Hogarth, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy writes books about figures and stuff. I'm gonna go get some advice from him. So I'm a dummy. I did not make photocopies because this is before I really learned about leave behinds. People saying, hey, can I have a copy of your stuff? I just would show it and get advice. Well, I take out my pages and I hand them to Hogarth, and he flips through them. pops the cap off a Sharpie and starts drawing over my pages. You need to fix this and this, this and this. And I'm sitting there going, I mean, cool, it's Bern Hogarth.
On the
but, like,
originals?
on my originals, like drawing on top of what I was going to then show to the rest of the show. So
Do you still
now,
have them?
no, that's the other sad thing. When we went on Extreme Tour, I lost about 2/3 of my stuff because we went on tour, and this is before you could do like debit cards. This is 1993, and you couldn't like prepay it. I had a storage unit when I had moved from Northern California to Extreme. All my stuff was in this storage unit, and I would go in and pay every month. But when we would leave for tour, we'd go away and go from city and do shop. And I lost track of time. I came back to pay my storage thing, and they told me, we auctioned that off last week. And I was like, what do you mean auctioned it off? Well, don't you know if you're more than 5 weeks late and you're not responding to our mail, that we have every right to auction your stuff. So I lost like skateboards and comics and artwork and all that. But
Bern Hogarth
set up one of
bought
those
his artwork
shows.
back. He bought his artwork back because it was the best stuff he had ever done.
What are those shows where they like go to the storage unit, Storage Wars? I wonder if it's one of those shows.
It was one of those, and you know what? That's not the first time that my artwork's been victim to that sort of storage thing. Andre Kromoff, who worked at Extreme as a colorist, signed Dre. A lot of really iconic pieces by Dre.
Good.
He is tops, like excellent. To thank him back in the day, he had colored this double pager of Rascal from Black Flag 4. And I was very generous with giving out my artwork. I gave it to interns, and I give it like to colorists, like, hey, thanks for the good job. You get to keep it, Well, Andre had artwork that people gave him that he too had lost in a storage auction. So if that double pager ever turns up, it will be an absolute miracle.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Graham?
Well, I got to go back to the beginning. This is probably around 1987.
Nice.
I'm still struggling. I'm I'd done work at Eclipse Comics, a couple of things for DC Comics here and there, but I had not made it. But I got a call to do the show, and I can't remember where it was for the life of me. I want to say Detroit. So for the sake of the story, we're going to go with Detroit. It was some northwestern place, I think. And anyway, I get off the plane, and this guy picks me up in this beat up old car, and he starts driving me to my hotel, and the buildings are getting worse and worse looking, and he drops me off at this hotel that's in the middle of nowhere, and I walk in, and there's a plexiglass wall with a woman sitting behind it and a drawer like you'd see at a bank.
It's a bulletproof.
Not a good. Yes, it is a bulletproof glass, and I had to put like my credit card in there, and this guy just left. He didn't check me in or anything. So
I wanted to get out of there before he got shot.
Now, again, this is before cell phones and all that stuff. So I put my credit card in there, and she puts it back. I go into the room, and the room looked like it was used to make a porno film at one time.
Yeah.
And
did it smell like it too?
Look at it. It's like that furry party I went to.
That Badussy smell.
Now I haven't done a lot of shows, right? But I know this ain't good. And I'm sitting at the end of my bed, and I'm listening to the sound of gunfire going off.
Oh.
And so I get on the payphone, I make a collect call, and I'm like, I call Julie up. She goes, "Oh, are you all settled in?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm settled in." And I hold the phone up and just like, "Pooh, pooh, pooh."
Oh my God.
I'm fucked.
It's like the scene in Big where Tom Hanks has to spend that first night in New York. He's in that crappy little apartment. He's
little fetal position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing
this
is,
was not
the
great.
con hasn't even started yet, and Graham's already
Nope.
fun.
Nope, hasn't even started. And I'm thinking, I'm a young guy. I'm thinking, okay, if I make a lot of money at this con, this will be worth it, And I go to the con the next day, and I spent
Always
the
the
entire
optimist.
day walking around and looking at vendor shit. And they were walking around looking at other people's stuff. It was completely dead. I mean, it was really bad. I didn't see the guy the next day because I had to go back to that same day. I guess I didn't stay one more night. I only stayed the one night, and then I went to the airport that night and got home. And so I never got to see him. But when I did see him, or when I got home and I called him.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
That's exactly how
Graham
I felt.
came prepared tonight.
Did.
Now Graham travels with an eye patch and a rifle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, that's how people at MegaCon must think I travel, because they once said to Renee, we're a little bit leery about booking him to the show. And she's like, why? She goes, well, we hear he travels with guns. And we're like,
Yeah, like you're
on
just
an
gonna blow
airplane
people away.
from New York? How the hell is that going to happen?
Right.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Oh, my
So
God.
did you leave early? Is that what you're saying? You just one night you're like, I'm out of here, or was the show over?
No, the show was over. It was a one-day show.
Okay.
And I just left, Hey, 200-watt studio, thank you again. It's $5 super chat. Motor City No, it wasn't Motor City. I've done Motor City, and that was fun. There's a funny Julie Schwartz story there. You landed in Romulus, probably not the best area. Now, it wasn't Motor City Con. That's a good size show.
Is there a nice area in Detroit? I've never heard of one.
I never saw it.
God. Like Cleveland and Detroit, man, they take all the heat.
And I'm not sure that it was Detroit. I cannot remember for the life of me where this was, because all I can remember is the gunshots and the plexiglass window.
Well, just real quick, this isn't a con
That was a
story,
bad
but there were mudslides when we moved.
Hi, buddy.
This is in California, so we had mudslides. So the police came and evacuated the area because they couldn't guarantee our safety, that the hill wouldn't come down into our house. And so we have pets. So she's an honest person, so she's checking around hotels that would take us with pets, right? And so we found one. Same thing, Graham. Just the bulletproof glass. It's in the shadiest part of of town and everything else. And we drive up to it's one of those where you can drive right up to your room, and there's like security guys, like armed security guys walking the perimeter, right? So we get into the hotel, we got our cats and stuff like that. We put them down. They all instantly hide. They didn't come out for the entire
cats
time we were
hid?
there. Yeah, they just hid instantly.
That's not a good sign when the animal.
bed
I know.
The bed was
Yeah.
broken, so I'm sitting on the bed and it's broken, and I'm just like, we're gonna lose the house. We just moved. We're gonna lose the house. So like, I'm stressed out of my mind, right? So I'm just sitting there vegging on this bed that's broken, and I look over at the wall, and there's these like little slit marks in the wall, and then I just finally realized, I was like, somebody sat right where I'm at and was throwing a knife at the wall. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so that was in Corona, California.
Well, I've got
Corona.
we should change this to horror hotel stories or motel stories that have nothing to do with cons, because I got a few of those myself.
200-watt studio, thank you for another $2. Extravacon, where were the one-day cons? Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Yeah, I never heard of those.
I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Never heard of that.
Extravacon.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I stayed at a hotel one time that had a mushroom growing out of the rug.
What?
No way. What?
Oh,
Yeah.
my
And the
God.
damn thing
way.
was this big. Yeah.
So it had been
How
there
does
for a while.
housekeeping not see that?
'Cause
Yeah,
there's
how
no
do they
house.
not see
No.
They were
There's no house.
fertilizing it.
They
Yeah,
were fertilized.
That is
And how
disgusting. Oh my
moist-
God, that is gross.
How moist does
You
that
guys-
carpet have to be
Moist.
for a mushroom to grow?
Now,
Yeah.
hang on a second, you guys. Do you want to go off the rails just for a moment? Because I have a Hitchcockian motel story to end all
Sure.
motel stories.
Cock
If you
Do
want to
it.
hear.
Let's do it.
All right,
it.
fire away, Aaron.
All right. So I'm driving back from film school to I don't know, it was vacation or something, right? And driving up through.
Out again.
Oh my gosh, that freaked me out.
It was
Yeah, that
one of
was
those
It's
really
like
scary
you're pining
movies.
for a minute.
Blair
I'm getting
Witch.
ready-
Yeah, that was my kid.
Yeah. So I find this motel off the side of the road, right? Like the Bates Motel kind of thing. Up and we're in it was in Northern California, right? So there's a lot of trees and it was just kind of tucked away in there. So it's late at night, go in, check in, and Night of the Comet was on. If you ever seen that movie, right? This comet, it's like this low budget
yeah.
B.
Oh, it's great. Everybody turns to red dust and they go to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
radio
yeah.
station.
But
Yeah.
the guy and his girlfriend are up making out in the projector room of the movie theater, so that and it's got lead lining or something. So they're the last people on Earth, whatever.
Who's that
I
hot
watched
girl that's
this-
in it too?
I know she was in a lot of those '80s movies. Wasn't she also the girlfriend in what was the
Last
one where the guy? Yes, wasn't that her? Same girl.
Yeah, I think it was her.
Didn't they have Girls Just Want to Have Fun in the soundtrack?
Probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there in the bed, right? And it's got to be, by this time, it's probably midnight, 1 a.m. And I'm like getting ready to crash. And I can hear the couple above me in the room arguing. It's indiscernible, but they're definitely yelling at each other, right? So I'm like, great, this is going to be a blast. And so there's this yelling and this fighting going on. And then it gets quiet for a few minutes. And then I hear water being run in the bathtub, right? Okay. So I'm listening to all
Wait,
this.
hold on a second, Aaron. Hold on a second, because this pertains to you. Sean Ferris with that All-American $17.76 super chat. My pitch for you guys going to New Jersey in June: I will be your airport shuttle in spring for dinner Friday at Spain Inn. They serve an awesome T-bone on a hot stone and some of the best sangria I have had. Aaron, how can you say no to that?
There's three of us right there that we know we're going.
Isn't Billy coming too?
Yeah, but he's not
Yeah.
on the panel right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Billy's coming.
Yeah, I meant the three that are here.
Thank you,
pressuring
Sean.
you.
Yeah, Sean, you rock.
It's all of this side here.
All right.
Right.
Well, I'm
The cool
thinking
side.
about it. I got to make a call.
All right. Okay.
All right.
You better
Well,
hurry up.
Just remember,
So the bath-
T-bones.
Okay.
You better hurry up.
The bathtub is now full of water, right? So I'm like, okay. I'm turning TV off, hit the lights. Well, the arguing starts again. And I'm like, Judas freaking Priest. And then I hear this. And I'm like,
No way.
oh, what the? I'm dead serious. I am freaking out at this point.
There's waterboarding.
And
Hey, you.
I'm thinking, this dude is drowning his girlfriend in the bathtub. So I run down to the guy's office,
Scary story.
right? Wake him up. And he's like, what? And I go, this dude, he's right above me. He's killing his girlfriend. You got to call the cops. He's like,
No way.
yeah, whatever. Does
Again?
nothing.
Probably happens all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, so I go back in and this is still going on. I can hear him drowning this person. So I call 911 and I'm like, this guy's killing his girlfriend. You got to get somebody over here right now. So I'm sitting there listening, thinking, what do? Do I go upstairs? And I'm like, do I go up and intervene and then get killed myself, or do I not? What do I do? I was just freaking out. And so the cops show up relatively quickly. And so they come up and they're like, what's going on? I go, that dude upstairs, man, he's drowning his girlfriend in the bathtub. I heard him. They were fighting and they're like, all right, we'll go check it out. So they go up there. And so, of course, I'm listening intently. And so they knock on the door. And of course, you hear you hear the police, and then you hear this, yelling and screaming and stuff. And then the cop comes back down, and he goes, it looks like it's some sort of a domestic squabble. And I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And he goes, it looks like the guy is the sober one, and the chick is just like either stoned out of her mind or drunk or something. He goes,
Or
so she's being the
drugged.
one irrational.
Right.
And he's like, so, I think he was just trying to, sober her up.
Her up.
And I'm like,
Stick your head in the toilet. You're giving her a swirly.
Yeah, I was like, well, okay, so what am I supposed to do? If you guys are, I said, so you're not going to do anything? He goes, well, we can't really do anything because no one, as far as we can tell, no one's broken the law. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do when this starts up again? He goes, well, you could file a complaint and then we could arrest him. And then you could come down to the police station tomorrow. And I'm like, dude, I'm just passing through. I want to be home tomorrow in my own bed. I'm going over vacation. I told him this whole thing. And he's like, well, he goes, let me go up there and see if maybe we can settle him down a little bit more. And, so he goes back upstairs and he's got his partner. So there's two of them. And then you start hearing the screaming starts again. And then you hear stuff breaking, right? And like dishes and crap like that. And so I'm like, what is going on? And then you hear this like wrestling, and thud on the ground and all this kind of stuff. And so the cop finally comes back downstairs and he says, well, you won't have to come in and file charges. I go, what happened? And he goes, yeah, we're up there trying to calm her down. And she went nuts, started throwing dishes at us and crap. So we just arrested her. We're taking her in. I'm like, well, what about her boyfriend? I go, yeah, he's fine. He's cool. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Wow. So I double padded the door and I sat there in bed, just waiting for the boyfriend to come down, and finish me off or something. But he never did.
He came down to. He was.
What do you mean by
finish
finish you off?
I don't know, because I'm the guy who you called the cops on him or something, and maybe he was going to come and take care of me or something.
What does that mean? Like a good take care of you? Finish?
No,
you
no,
off
no. I don't mean like.
Oh God!
You mean like a happy ending at a massage parlor?
Art, his name was Fatty. Okay.
He was gonna blow one.
No. But I'm telling you guys, that was the most terrifying night of my life. It was unbelievable. I felt like I was in a Hitchcock film for about 30 minutes until it all kind of got resolved. But intense.
That's horrible.
At least the cop didn't say, "What am I supposed?" When you said, "What am I supposed to do?" At least the cop didn't say, "I don't know, put on earplugs."
Find another hotel.
Find another hotel.
Ask for a different room.
Let's welcome our brother, Mr. Billy Tucci, into the room.
The Tooch.
What, brother?
I have a question for you, Billy.
What time is it?
5:30, sir. Oh, here we go, huh? Oh.
Here we go.
It's go time.
It's go time.
Hey, boy, the bros have had a rough weekend of football, huh? This past weekend for our bros, huh? Jeez.
What happened?
Hey, you know what? Cincinnati did us a favor because they exposed every weakness and problem in that team. And if we had squeaked by and got to the Super Bowl and lost another one, it's like I couldn't handle it. So I'm glad.
I know. I was actually thinking that. I'm like, oh my God, what if the Bills make it all the way to the Super Bowl and then lose?
Yeah.
I mean, when we go, we have to be the dominant team in the NFL and just run over everybody. It's just, anything less than that.
Close though, man. Buffalo's close. They're close.
Hey, Andy.
Well, they got a lot of holes that are exposed.
Yeah, but they got a quarterback, so.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, Andy, is it true that after the game, Dak was so upset that he threw his helmet in a rage, but it was intercepted?
Oh. No, but I tell you what, I've never seen this before. The Dallas official Twitter account tweeted something like, the gist was basically, if Dak didn't throw those 2 interceptions, we would have won the game. The official Dallas Twitter account threw him under the bus.
Wow.
Well, you can't throw picks. It's certainly not in a playoff.
No, it's true.
But geez, I can't believe they did that to him, though.
Yeah.
Imagine being.
Hey, we got 232 people watching right now. You guys, please hit that like button. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and to all the Bros channels so you get notifications when our shows go live.
Yes.
Yeah. Who we rooting for?
Mr. Tucci, we did a round all the way through once already. Would you like to enlighten us with a horror story of conventions? And does one
it has
of
to
them
be true, Billy. It has to be
true. I know. That was 2022, Billy. This is 2023, Billy.
That was his
He hasn't told-
resolution.
So they're going to be new and improved?
See,
Is that what you're saying?
This is going to be a doozy.
He's already lying.
He's already
He's already lying.
Yeah.
You're
Billy,
muted,
you're
Billy.
You're muted, bud.
Here, I'll do it for
You're
him.
muted.
Time's up, Billy.
You're muted. You're muted.
He's
Oh,
on the
okay.
phone.
Billy, you're on the
Oh.
phone?
I'm on my. I got. Someone's got to pick my son up. The bus
Yeah.
just got.
Oh.
So I'm telling Deb to go pick him up.
Time's up.
Hang on. Let me.
Oh.
Well, while he's doing that, I did a show. Julie and I did the show in Massachusetts, and it was one of those really sad shows. Like one of the guests was Burt Reynolds,
Oh,
and
wow.
Burt,
Burt
they had
Reynolds?
his,
I mean,
they
that's
had the
cool.
car. Well, yeah, but Burt was in a wheelchair, still had the
Oh.
wig on.
Oh.
They're wheeling him around. He could
Yeah.
barely raise his arms. It was just really sad.
Oh, that's
And this is one of those shows where they had like these celebrities, like I think they were like Playboy people.
Yeah.
They had that guy from what's that science fiction movie? Starship Troopers. That guy, the guy who was the star of that.
The
Catherine
He was
good-looking
named-
soap star guy.
Casper Van Dien. Yeah, Casper Van Dien.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
And they had a whole
I
bunch
met him
of
a
these.
couple of times.
Yeah, well, they had a bunch of these that level of stars there, and they were walking around there. You'd walk by, they'd be sitting in there on their phone the whole time. And I took a picture of myself with the Playboy girls. We're over on the other wall, and I took the selfie like this, looking back, and she's in the background, and her head, she's laying down on the she's sound asleep. I'm like, well, actually, Julie took the picture, but then
Good.
we go back to the hotel room, and we swear they were shooting a porno movie in the room next door.
No.
Why not? Why not?
Oh yeah.
Maybe
There
it was Casper Van Dien with those girls.
Yeah.
Ooh.
who knows? But they were like, and the headboard is boom, 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 and Julie's looking at me. She goes, "Oh, for God's sake!" She starts screaming at them. And goes, "Will you quiet down in there?" I'm like, "Don't do that. We don't know. It could be, could be a."
That'd be awesome if you could hear
like
that in the video, like when they have the finished.
Oh, I know.
This is low budget. Just keep it in.
Just keep it in.
Yeah. But this then happened the second night too, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then the next morning they were gone. They completely checked out. And so we wonder if they weren't shooting something because they shoot a lot of those things. In
Go in there with the black
Hotel
light.
Oh,
The scary thing wasn't Aaron sleeping next to you? Didn't Aaron have the room next door to you?
Yeah.
But he was alone?
No, Billy, it was
Right.
on the East Coast, and Aaron doesn't go that far.
Aaron doesn't go to the
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Why,
He's-
he's East Coastist.
Aaron, we are going to shame you into coming to this full bros show.
Yes.
Throw it up, bro.
Throw it
You
up.
have
Art hasn't committed. You're not giving Art crap.
Hey, we will though. Art, get your
But
bro on,
Art
bro.
said he's going to call and look into it.
He
You
did.
just flat out said, "I'm not going to the East Coast." God damn
Yeah.
it.
See?
I got to travel that far.
It's Old Man Winter. What do you want
Be
from me?
with you, Bums,
It's
I
all
can be
man
with you on TV.
So
They
Billy,
need
got a
cold
story for
snap
us?
in Jersey in June is what they need. Old man winter.
We need you, old man winner. We
We
need you.
need you.
It's
Yeah, I'm
just
It
salt
won't be
factor.
the same without AA
I
Ron.
feel like I'm in high school and you guys are all trying to get me to smoke weed.
Come on, Aaron. Just
Wait
try
a
it. Everyone
minute.
does it.
I
Just
want
try it.
Aaron.
You might like
Well,
it.
no, if you
Aaron?
come, you have to smoke a
Aaron, you
cigar.
want to be cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be cool?
Yeah.
Come on, man. All the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah, look what you're doing there. Come on, Aaron. Come on, buddy.
Aaron. Come to
It's
the
like a
dark
mob or
side.
something, man.
It's just a fatty. Come on, blow it.
Oh.
William, what
Yes,
do you got?
I'm trying to find a photo of it.
I have photos too, but I didn't want to show them because I didn't want to out that promoter guy.
All right, here we go. All right, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna share my screen if I can
Okay.
to really sum it up. Basically, and this is what happened to me. How the show ended up for me. So if I can share my screen right now.
There's
give
gonna
me
be
a second.
passed out people on the street. There's gonna be blood.
Yo, Ethan said he's going to be at Garden State.
Yeah, see?
Hell yeah.
Oh, excellent. There we go. Hey,
All right,
dude,
there
we'll
you
do
go.
some more
So-
steaks.
Yeah,
Yep.
let's do
Oh,
this.
yeah. Oh, no, we're
Steaks
definitely
and
going to
then
do that.
cigars, yeah.
Yep. All right, here's
Hell yeah.
I want to share my screen. There you go. That was me.
What the Jesus?
It's Cornelius.
It's
I-
Cornelius from Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
How do you
What
figure
the-
he'd end up at a con? He escaped and he ended up at a con.
That's how it ended up. That's how it ended up for your boy Tucci. I was human when it began, and then I was an ape sitting in the corner on my
Fucking
cell
time
phone.
travelers.
That's a fun costume.
No,
though.
I actually saw some. Oh, sorry.
Whoa.
Hey, it was-
God, don't sit like that when you're
Hey,
wearing
check out
your
those
kill.
legs.
I'm
Oh,
a
Deb
man, for
too.
God's sakes. Yeah, no, that's my screensaver on my other thing. Yeah, Ethan's going.
Yeah, Ethan's
Hell
going.
yeah.
It's going to be a party.
Yep.
Man.
Got to get Cecil to come.
Maybe we'll get Cecil to come back again.
Cecil's definitely going to come back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got to say,
We'll get
the
the
worst.
trucks
kind of-
parked back there with the beds down.
Yep. Ethan's going to bring his truck, and he's going to bring a tent.
A
For anybody
tailgate
who wants to
party.
sleep over, he's actually going to bring a tent for people to sleep on the lawn.
There we go. Yeah.
That was a great
Hotel
con
loves that.
experience. I don't remember. It's good. It was a nice hotel.
That was fun.
They
It-
really know how to
except for
take care
the
of it.
ice
Garden
rink.
State. Yeah. Garden State Comic Fest is a fantastic show. One of the best shows I've ever attended. The way they treat everybody, it's
Oh yeah.
it's
That
just
was
beautiful. Yep.
Unlike that
that-
other one we were at the past year.
That's what I'm going to say. Probably one of my worst con experiences, and it was put on by great friends of mine too. Great guest list, but they nobody attended, and that was the show that me, you, Darwin were at. Thierry, Dunbar, Mike Zeck was next to me.
What do you
Yeah.
think the reason
Howard
was? Just a
taken?
bad weekend?
Taking it,
No.
dude. No, you're not.
Oh,
They
wait.
would love to have you.
Oh yeah. He said he'd love
Yeah,
to
you're
have
a
you.
big draw.
Yeah, he
you're
totally
gonna
would
be
give
good
you a
at-
table, Ethan.
Yep.
I'm going to text him tomorrow about that. I'll text him.
That'd be massive.
It's a great show. Morristown's a great town.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
great
coming in
fan.
Friday. You guys are coming in Friday,
I'm
right?
coming
Yep.
in Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to drive in.
Will you be in time for dinner?
Oh, I'll be in time
Oh,
for
yeah.
dinner. I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah,
stop
yeah,
up in
yeah,
Hackettstown,
yeah.
have a little pizza on me way in.
Heck yeah.
And then Saturday we'll work and Hawaiian shirt night, man. Oh, Dan Genovese's already got his Hawaiian shirt and cigars ready. I hung out with
There you
Dan
go.
at New York Comic Con. Went to dinner. We had a great time.
Awesome, man.
Good group of people. So
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that was so sad. And there was Thierry and Darwin had a panel. I think I mentioned this last week, unless I did it just in the green room, but behind the scenes, whatever it's called.
Oh, right.
So it's Darwin Cook, Frank Thierry, I think Scott Dunbar from IDW. Darwin just was doing the Parker books. They were huge. And there was one person in the audience, one person sitting there. And then a woman comes in, and in the middle of it, and Thierry goes, "Oh, look, we got some more people. All right, thank you." And the woman sits down, and she has a baby with her, and she starts breastfeeding her baby in the back. In the last row, she wanted to find a quiet spot to breastfeed her baby.
Then you guys called her out.
They're like,
Did she wave? Yeah.
I wasn't on the panel. It wasn't my panel. He came back. He's like, dude, you gotta guess what just happened? Because remember, we were just walking around, Ethan. All the dealers were in the hall, in the aisles. It was a
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
The only people walking around were dealers.
yeah. There was
Looking for
nobody
deals.
there. And again, it was a great guest list, great people. He promoted it. I just don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what happened.
Well, the problem was it wasn't on the Vegas Strip. It was all the way out in the boondocks.
Oh, like
Oh.
Rump or something?
I don't know, someplace. In
Yeah.
Vegas, you get what you pay for in Vegas, Fraga. You know that.
Yeah. Wait, what?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, baby.
Well,
That's
see,
right.
Aaron Lopresti gets it.
Yeah, it was a heck of a guest list too. It was amazing how bad
Yep.
the turnout was.
Mike Zeck is there.
I mean, Vegas
Yeah.
is a hard city, you know. Like most of the people that are there are tourists, right? Like, and there's all those other things competing for the dollar, and people that live there generally work there. So I just feel like it's a tough venue.
I've never done a show in Vegas. Are they good? I've never done.
I've done comic shops.
I've done
Yeah,
one. It was okay.
And I think Jimmy J, the Amazing Comic Con, they do one in Vegas, but they've really like established themselves as the show.
Jimmy always tries to get me to go, and I'm going, you have to pay me, man. You have to pay me.
You gotta pay. You gotta pay like Sheldon Martin paid, $9.99.
Hell yeah, Sheldon.
It's a decent cigar. Any of you know if this is true? Mark Wade, pretty sure it was him, said he went to a con, but when he got there, it turned out some fans that wanted to meet him. There was
It's
no
true.
con.
Mark actually told me.
Yep. True story.
It was, and he goes, he's like, and the guy brought him to his house. And
Yeah.
all of his buddies there. He's like, all right, so when's the con? Where he's like, no, this is it.
Oh my god,
dude, that's actually kind of awesome. Like, if I had fans that like flew me out and put me up just to hang out for the afternoon, that'd be a lot of fun.
this is like a Stephen King novel, though.
They weren't upfront about it, and they were like expecting him to sleep on the couch or something. And he said, "No, you guys are getting me a hotel right now, and you're flying me out of here tomorrow morning. This is insane." And so they finally.
This is Stephen King, man. He's lucky.
Sleep on the couch.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah,
You know,
He's going to the guest room.
Hey,
Yeah,
right on the
very
couch,
weird.
Mark. I'm gonna hobble you. Boom.
Yeah. We're just going to put this 4x4 between your ankles.
Yeah.
I just wonder if I would be like, oh, all right, yeah, the couch sounds good. You know, I would feel I'm not that kind of guy. I kind of
Oh, dude, I am. I'm like,
I'm that kind of guy.
in here.
Yeah.
I'm like, turn this
Yeah, I
fucking
gotta
car
stop
around
being a
and get me
sucker.
back to the airport,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or I'm gonna strangle you.
I'm sorry, nothing
that wouldn't
personal, but I
fly.
don't trust you.
Yeah,
Jesus.
you lied to me about your pretense of bringing me out. I don't have a
Right.
hotel. There is no
Yeah.
show, and now I gotta trust you.
And I,
Right.
I don't like to be raped.
I'm very anti. No,
I'm
Mark, it's not a
anti-rape.
convention, and it puts the lotion on.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
Yeah.
Give me lotion on.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Skin
Jimmy
suit.
Watts Studio.
Oh my gosh, that would be misery. That would just be horrible, man.
That would be kind of scary. You're sitting there realizing, wait a minute. What do you mean there's no con? You're like, I got to
You,
get out
you
of
can
here.
share the
now.
bed with Granny.
Oh my god.
Oh. Don't worry, she won't move much.
Comes like that.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of it in like one of those comedy movie
That's a hard yes
situations.
there.
You know, like imagine that the movie starts off on the fan side, right? And they're like Jay and Silent Bob types, you know, where they're like, dude, we could get Mark Wade, you know, and it's like, you know, like a Weekend at Bernie's sort of situation.
Well, right. Is it? It could be a great comedy, or it could be a horror film.
No, it could be the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, but
And
it
you
could
get
also be a horror film.
like a John Candy type, except he's likable. But you get like a John Candy to stand in for Mark Wade, and you know he's trying to drop hints, but they're all stoned and like, yeah.
Oh my god.
Turns out to be the best time he ever had, though.
It was the best time of his life.
He's
Yeah.
the one who won't leave at the end.
Yeah, I love you guys.
You guys were awesome.
yeah. Most cons have been good for the most part. I'm trying to think, but some store signings have been stinkers, man.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I
I
said.
mean that's kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never want to be at a show when they say, "Well, you're a premier guest." I'm like, yeah, no, that's okay. I don't want to be a premier guest.
Yeah,
You know,
right. If I'm the draw, we're in trouble, people.
Yeah, the store signing thing's tough too because you're dependent on the knowledge of that store owner's ability to promote it. You know,
Right.
Like, are they in a good area? How much have they hyped it? You know, we could only do so much because how much of our like fan base is localized to that signing and.
Hey Dan, do you remember that one in Orange County? You and I were there. It was a comic shop, and we get in there, and there wasn't a table. There wasn't our names advertised or anything. And you kind of made the best of it. It's like, well, I'll just kind of sit over here. And I was like, how's anybody going to know who we are? Like, we're just sitting
Right.
there. You know, it's like, do you have any books that you have of ours or anything like that? Nope. nope. Like everything was no. And so
Man,
I think I put in an hour and then I took off.
I mean, when I think about it now, there's, almost, it'll be 32 years this year of like memories. And that whole time, especially 93 to 96, was so jam packed with signings and shows. And like, it really is a blur. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely. The fact that you remember that, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, those are crazy days.
I was like, why are we even
out.
here? Like, you don't even care.
Right. I mean, we've all been to those where it's like, yeah, why did you schedule me again? But I figured out finally the only way to ever give yourself a chance at a store signing is if you have a first issue coming out of something that people might want to read.
Right. Sure.
And then you go do the store signing, and then you feel like Frank Miller because everybody's there.
Well, that's why I charge. That's why I charge, because if somebody isn't going to pay you like a minimal fee, then they're not serious. And if somebody's going to pay you, that means that they're going to promote you. You know what I mean? So it doesn't always work out that way, but more often than not.
Mark, you're here to help us start a family. We want a writer stuff. This is going to be your
Oh my God.
That is a horrifying
it's like that. It's like that X-Files where the mom's living under the bed. And...
I know that was like the most horrifying television show I've ever seen in my life. Was that episode? It's called Home. In case you want to look that up.
Home is where the
Hey,
heart
Paul,
is.
Emmy
thank
winning.
you for that $10 Canadian. That is a good cigar. These stories are great, gentlemen. All I can say is I'm glad none of these involve me. Well, we're not done yet, Paul.
Yeah. You wait,
We're
Paul.
not done yet.
Yeah, you wait, Paul. We got a few more.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So who's up?
Andy.
Yeah. Okay. Damn it. I had a couple come to mind actually while we were talking. I'm trying to remember which one I wanted to use. I mean, I got one of my very first cons. It's kind of like Graham, I guess. What's that?
Did you want us to come back to you, or you got it, or
No, I'm good. One of the first cons I did. I just got in the business. I was probably only in for like a year and change because I remember it was summertime and I was invited to a con. And I want to say it was Tennessee. And, they picked me up from the airport. And this is like the summer of 92. So they picked me up from the airport in a station wagon. And I'm talking like early 80s station wagon. So, I mean, it's 10 years old. So it's not like it's super old. But still, it's
Like a Vista Cruiser from the 70s.
Yeah, a station wagon, right? I mean, who knows? It very well could have been late 70s. So I get in the back. It's Tennessee. The first thing they do is, I'm like, well, they tell me like it's about a 45-minute to an hour drive. Okay. And the AC doesn't work. So the windows are down. So it's like, all right, this sucks because it's hot. So we're driving through Tennessee, and they're making small talk and stuff, and I'm being cordial and trying to have a conversation as I can, but then I don't know if it was the driver or the passenger. It was two guys. The driver or the passenger just conversation, like doesn't skip a beat, is just talking. And drops the N-bomb. And I'm just like...
What?
like, and, he wasn't calling anybody. He didn't specifically say this person, blah, blah, blah. He was just talking. And instead of saying, African-American, black person, whatever, he just drops that. And I'm just sitting there in the back, and I'm thinking to myself, these people don't know anything about me. They know nothing other than I draw comics and I'm a guest. Why would you? What?
Wow,
I mean, you just talk about being stunned into silence. I'm just like,
yeah.
They're making an assumption in their mind that you're as racist as they are.
Yes.
Right. Oh yeah. No. I'm just.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I like Andy doesn't want to admit to it.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it is. Either that or they're just so used to throwing it around where, in that area that it just, I don't know.
Right.
Like
it's
the
kind of
C
like
word in
meeting
England.
somebody. It's kind of like,
yeah.
Look, our grandparents, I can tell you, our grandparents, they were born late 1800s and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're a kid growing up talking to your grandparents, and they never said that, but they would definitely have said colored, right?
Yeah.
And, as a kid, you're like, what? You go ask your mom or dad, grandma said or grandpa said colored. What's that mean? And they're like, oh, they're old, whatever. So it was just so off-putting. And, that's honestly all I remember from the con. I don't remember how well it
Blacked
was.
out after that. He woke up 3 days later. He's like,
He wakes up 3 days later without a kidney.
Yeah,
I bet you if you saw them today, you wouldn't recognize them without their hoods.
That's right. I wouldn't.
the scary thing is, it was all downhill from there.
There you go.
It got worse.
that was the high point.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was.
They were in the trunk. They had one that fit you.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So
they asked you before you came out. What
see now,
size
Danky Frankie was late 1800s. Yeah, my grandparents. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Mine
yeah.
too.
My grandparents were born in the late 1800s.
Mine was
World War One.
14.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma was 14, 1914, and Grandpa was 1917.
Wow.
1891 for my grandma. My grandfather on the Italian side, the one who immigrated from Sicily, he fought in World War One.
Wow.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So you guys are like the babies of the families.
Yeah,
Well, he was locker partners with Art, and that's when I first met Art.
Yeah. We go way
There
back.
it is.
But Fraggy, did you say something before about basically like this year for me marks 32 years in the business, right?
Yeah, it'll be in December. It will be. I mean, I just
Okay.
had my 31st, but yeah.
But the thing that I was thinking about this other day, and 32 is obviously, that's a long time. But because it's our, this is for me at least, because it's our experience, I don't think of 1991 being that long ago, right?
No, but it was.
But I looked at it in terms like this. Well, I look at it in terms like this. 1930 to 1962 seems like a long ass time.
Yeah.
And that's how I looked at it. And I was like, oh my God, I have been in the business a long ass time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about
when you
it,
put
Andy,
that
your
year on it.
grandparents- Think about it. Your grandparents, my grandparents, grew up in an age that started with horses. They saw the rise of the automobile. They saw mechanized warfare. They lived through the Depression. They saw the rise of technology. A man was put on the rise of aircraft. There was no aircraft when they were born. So that was a new thing. And from the time the first aircraft went off to the time we walked on the moon was less than 50 years.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Oh yeah,
Crazy.
the stuff they went through is
That
nothing compared
era
to.
was unbelievable in its progress versus, say, from 1900 to 1800. Not a lot changed between 1800 and 1900.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And now we're devolving. So it's de-evolution now.
That's right.
Indeed.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Pedro.
Well, did you ever think like, I think it'd be, and I have, and I still wouldn't mind trying it for a week if I could somehow travel back in time, going back to working in one of the studios, like the Eisner studio or something like that. But then I really think about it and I go, New York in the 40s and 50s, I like my air conditioning. Like going back, leaving what I have now and walking in being like, ooh, it's so hot in here. Can we just, oh yeah, we can't do anything about that, can we?
Yeah, this ink is drying really fast.
Oh damn, this head's too big. I need to go Oh, I can't. I got to just redraw it.
From scratch.
I can't just reduce that. I can't scan this in and reduce it down.
Hey, you know what's the same thing that if you work for that Eisner studio and you work for DC today, $35 a page. It's the same.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
The rates are the same. Yeah.
Well, they had to invest
Yeah.
their profit in air conditioning. So
Yeah.
Right. I think Will might have bought us lunch though. So
maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. So
Yeah, Ethan says we're getting stupider. 1991 to now, we've done nothing but the internet.
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's been
and
medical
the
advancements, but-
reduction and ease of things like music and movies and you know, I guess that's included with the internet, but it's
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to my kids about this sort of thing all the time, especially with music. When we were kids and we bought a 45 or a cassette, or if we were lucky enough to get the whole EP or LP, we cherished it. We played it and we played it over and over. And that album was our album and that song was our song. And, you know, you had maybe 10, 15 cassettes or whatever. And now the songs are so disposable. They come, they go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're
Dude,
easy
did
to
you ever
get.
do the thing where we all had that clock radio, digital clock radio next to our bed, right?
Yeah.
And the just plain Jane rectangle looking thing, and oh yeah, Jack Cole.
Yeah. Well,
How about
yeah,
the EC
he'd
offices?
go to work. I'd go with that too, and I'd also go with CC Beck at Fawcett.
Yep.
CC
Or
Beck.
Mac Rayboy, or work at the for Gaines for EC Comics in the 50s would have been a blast, I think.
Except in
Gaines.
55.
Well,
Yeah. Well, plus, but there was so restricted working for Gaines. You know, all the lettering was put down first, and you had to draw around it. You know.
well,
Wow, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the
All the-
layout,
I mean, look at the books. You look
Yeah.
at the comics. You can kind of tell.
Yeah.
that is really a strange way to work.
Yeah.
well, you
That's
don't have to
why,
draw
you know,
stuff and have to worry about it getting
so
covered up. So.
Yeah. It's only because those guys were so great, you know, that it worked at all. If that format was used anywhere else, nobody remember it.
Yeah.
They kind of are good at adapting, you know, to Andy's point, you know, using the air conditioning thing, they didn't know any different, right? Like,
Right. That's just
so-
it. They didn't know any better.
yeah. And the whole photocopy thing, well, they never had it. So they got good at reproducing something smaller, or they just got it right
Yep.
the first time, you know?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
200-watt
Yeah.
studio, $5 super chat. Graham, that's why men in their 50 years looked like adults and not like the men look now. They had been through stuff. Oh, no
Yeah.
doubt. You know, they're
Yeah.
a product of their age. And, you know, I look at a picture of my grandfather when he was 50, and I'm 60. And I look a lot younger than he did.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have to go to France and fight the Germans. So,
Right. Right.
Right.
Well,
Andy, what were
it
you-
wasn't
you
even
know,
that long ago where we were like driving to the post office and mailing off our pages to New York City. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
when I started, you had to mail them off at 8-page increments. They wouldn't
Mhm.
accept any less. You got reimbursed for your post, and when Federal Express came around, oh my gosh, what a game changer, right? Like
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
mail it out next day, stuff like that. So, you know, and then scanning now, you can get you can get the artwork out within minutes to anywhere in the world. So, you know, we have seen quite a bit of innovation in the industry, for good or for bad.
Yeah.
The weird thing about back then, comics were more on time. They had 3 issues in the can. There was an annual. There was an annual already in the can. Now it's like they'll be lucky if they have like half an issue in the can while you're working on that one. Like at DC Comics, as soon as we got the next job, the one we did before that was already on the newsstand. Like
Holy shit.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What, Andy, what were you
Yeah,
saying
talk-
about that
talk
alarm
about-
clock radio?
Oh, I was just saying. Do you remember? Because you were talking about music and stuff.
Yeah.
And, every radio station did their, top 8 at 8 or
Yes.
top 10 countdown.
Yeah.
And, you get your little cassette tape next to it, cassette
Yes.
player, put the tape in
Yes.
and go, and they'd be like, coming up, number 5, Starship, we built this city. And I'm like, record! I don't have to pay for this.
Yes. We had the
And then
boom
you
box that
always-
had it in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
you
you
can do
always
that.
get either like get the DJ saying the introduction or just after. Yeah.
Right. But you're like, I just got it for free.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I also the reason why I can still recite so many movie lines today is because, and I don't know if you guys did this too. You take that tape recorder when the movie's on, the 4:30 movie, you know.
Yeah.
Yes!
And
You know,
record the audio.
Destroy all monsters, right?
Dude,
Robin
I
Hood, you know,
did
the
that with
Quiet Man.
Rambo, Enter
And
the
sit there,
Dragon.
yep, and hit that tape play and just record the movie, and then you can
Yes.
then listen to it, you know, in your room and stuff like that. And really,
Yep.
My
know
brother
what?
and I
That's-
used to be able to recite word for word Blazing Saddles for the first 45 minutes. We could do every bit for 45 minutes because we did that thing. It was Cinema Plus, which was the precursor to HBO, and we had a little tape recorder and we recorded it when it would play.
Can you do that now?
Yeah.
Can you recite it? now?
Graham, we heard you was hung.
Well, now if you do, you end up in jail.
They
yeah.
was right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where are all the white
Yeah.
women?
Yeah, remember that too. Even before VCRs, man, you missed that episode of
Oh,
Gunsmoke. That's it.
that's it.
Oh,
Well, you
yeah.
know what?
You
When
know,
we
or-
when we
or
were
the
moving,
holiday shows. The holiday shows.
yeah,
You
yeah.
miss
Yeah.
Charlie Brown Christmas. That's it. You
That's
gotta
it.
get it.
For a year.
Or your mom
Until next
records
year.
over your show with her
Yeah.
her soap operas.
Well, my wife was a big
soaps.
A-Team fan, so she recorded all the episodes of the A-Team. And to this day, like when we were moving from California to Texas, she still has them. They meant so much to her, like VHS, that she
Are they
still
any good?
has all of them. I don't know. We don't have a VHS. We have no way to
I was
play
gonna
it.
say.
You
I know,
can
isn't that
buy
the
them at
truth?
Walmart.
I got one right here, and I was able to transfer a lot of my old videos.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff
could get
from
them
the
at
80s.
Walmart. You could still get them at Walmart on Amazon, dude. The best part will be the ads. You know
Yeah,
what I
all
mean?
the commercials. Yeah.
Where's
Yes,
the beef?
commercials.
You know,
Where's the beef?
making donuts.
Mhm.
It's making donuts.
I'm no
Make the
dumb
donuts.
Bonnie.
But I think it meant
Yeah.
something
I
to us
used to
because you
say-
had to put in time and effort, you know,
yes.
like you had to wait for that song to come on the radio or, you know, the night to record your favorite show or whatever it was. Yeah.
Do you remember 8-tracks? Like when your least favorite song played, you knew that was the time to hit it because it would bounce it to the next track where your favorite song was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never
had
got duped by 8-track. Yeah.
I
Oh,
had
we
a-
got
No,
stuck into
you
that.
never had an 8-track?
I had
I never
one, but
had
just
one.
never-
I remember them,
used
but I
it.
never had one.
we
I
I
had
know people that had them in their car.
Yeah, I installed one in my car.
Yeah.
Whoa, really?
I bought a car that had one, so I bought like one tape from the swap meet or
Kiss?
something like
Was
that.
it Kiss? Tell
No,
me
it was
Kiss.
Sticks, pieces
Oh,
of
nice.
8.
Same thing.
Good album.
Yeah,
Good
I
album, man.
bought
Yeah, Sticks is good.
Was that the one with Babe on it? Which one?
I
is
don't
that?
know.
No, it had Blue Collar Man and
Okay.
Renegade and
Yes.
an early one.
I just
That's a
remember
good
there was a
one.
Yeah,
song
that's an
called
earlier one.
"Pieces of 8 in Search of the Money Tree."
Yes, I had one. I had in college. I had a 1977 Delta 88, and it had the 8-track tape player in it. I'm like, I have no 8-track tape, so I went to
Sweet.
my mother and Debbie's mother and father, and they gave us like bags of it. So we listened like
Oh
Barbra
man,
Streisand.
score!
Yeah, Barbra Streisand, Jerry Vale, Eagles'
Well.
greatest hits.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
Eagles'
Tom
greatest
Jones. Tom
You
Jones.
were,
Tom
if you didn't
Jones.
have the Eagles'
We're like,
greatest hits,
Not
you're a
unusual
loser.
to be loved.
Yeah.
by them. And it's great reading McDonald's and shit like that. Go to
You
the
know, if
beach.
you lived in California, you didn't need the Eagles' greatest hits. They played it on the radio every
Oh,
freaking
all
hour.
the frickin' all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, same in Florida. They used to play it all the time.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Doobie
yeah.
Brothers,
Same
too.
audience.
Yeah,
Same
Doobie
audience.
Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, Doobie Brothers, Jimmy Buffett.
Did anybody else's parents have a piano in their house when you were growing up?
No.
oh yeah,
No?
We
yeah.
did,
I
but we
did.
never
No one
played
played it, but we had one.
My
Yeah,
grandparents.
we had one. Yeah, nobody played it, but for some reason
Colonel.
we had that, the rectangle shape, not the big one,
Yeah.
just right up
The-
against the
the-
wall. Not one person
spinner.
played it.
And my
Very
dad,
close.
he upgraded when the organs came out. You know, the electric organs. You could take it home, and then he got one of those, and no one played it. He would try to make sound effects with it. You know, make with the echo sound and all that kind of stuff. And
The worst thing I ever got was one of those Casios with the sampler in it. And so
Oh, yeah.
you would belch in it because it could record and sample any sound. So you could play any song, to the sound of a belch or a fart.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Those are the good times, like Art of Noise, you know. Like,
Yeah,
It's so funny.
true.
Like my mom played. We had a baby grand in our house when I was a kid.
Oh,
on
wow.
Long Island.
Ooh.
And
very
you know,
nice.
in the '60s, my mom and
In
dad,
Liberace.
you know, typical, you know, New York urbanite type things. They would have their friends over, cocktails and stuff, and they'd all gather around the piano. And my mom would play, and they'd all start singing. And then eventually, they'd have to pull the kids out. You know, hey, after a few belts, you know, say, hey, Graham, come on down, sing your song. I don't
Oh no! Don't embarrass me.
Oh no! Here, put the
Graham's
kid
like-
out like a monkey.
Remember, you're like, these eyes.
These eyes.
Every night.
Oh, Graham would get up there and ooga shaka, ooga, ooga shaka. His brother would come in.
My dad used to get up there and do Anthony Newley. You know, what kind of fool am I? I don't give a damn.
You get remember in the Little Rascals when it was Woim, his name was whatever, and he was singing.
Oh, Woim, yeah.
You remember he's like, just friends, lovers no more. Just friends, but not as before. But we love, we laugh, we cry, and then love. Oh, what did he say? And then our love died, and that's the ending. Because
They were
we're just
crooners.
friends.
What was Alfalfa was like a crooner. That's how he
Yeah, it
identified.
was terrible. I'm in the mood for love.
For love.
All those songs we know because of the Little Rascals.
It's not unusual to be loved
To
by
be
anyone.
loved by
Na-na-na-na-na.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, we're having karaoke, Aaron, if that's a little enticing in the parking lot, too, at Garden State Comic Fest. Just
No,
We're
saying.
you
working
don't.
on it.
No, you're not. Don't do it.
Just throwing it out there, Aaron. Just throwing it out there.
Appreciate it. Thank
So
you.
we ditched the topic, or we
Oh, yes, sorry.
I got one more story if you guys want to do
Yeah,
it.
Sort of went off,
Do it. It's all right.
but it's an organic show. We can
Okay.
get
Right.
into
I think
everything.
Art's next, though, right?
Yeah, Art,
Yeah,
you got
Yeah,
one?
all right.
Okay.
Art's got to
all
have
right.
more than one. It's got to involve a serial killer too.
Well, real quick, I got two, but the first one is just you know how Dan was talking about furry parties. Okay, so this is early San Diego. You know, when you do these cons and you're young, you're just looking for any kind of like thing to do in the evening, right? So like you, Dan, we got a flyer. And I was hanging out Artist Alley, and so there's, you know, name drop. There was Scott Williams, there's Will Spartaccio, there's Mark Basella, there's just Kevin McGuire. There's all, you know, we're all, you know, just lined up there. And so when these parties happen, it's like you end up partying with the guys that you were hanging out with at the table. And so this invitation comes, and it was like, well, what are you guys doing tonight? Nothing, you know, I got this invite, right? So everybody's like, oh, cool. And it wasn't like, there wasn't a early warning sign like with you with the sexy girl dressed like, you know, a cat. This was just some guy,
Didn't
and
know.
it didn't say furry party. There was nothing like that. It was just like, it's a party, you know. And then it was like at a suite, you know, a hotel suite. And we're like, ooh, this is gonna be good, right? So Pasella, we ended up getting Mark to go. We got Jim Lee to go. Wills and Scott stayed back at their hotel room. It turns out like Jim was hanging out with Wills and Scott at the hotel room right next to mine. Like it was the Hotel San Diego. Remember that place?
Oh, yeah.
Dan?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're right next door. And I didn't know that until, you know, Jim and I were gonna, you know, leave and meet down in the lobby. So we left our room at the same time. It's like, oh shit, you're right next door. And so I just remember Wills like having Jim come back to him, you know, at the door, and he's like, hey man, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons tonight. Why don't you just stay? Why don't you just hang out with us? And just like, nah, it's cool. And so, you know, we're gonna go to a party, right? So we all just like stopped at the liquor store before we go to this suite at this hotel, and so we get like all this beer and whiskey and all this stuff. So we each had like a bag of stuff, like alcohol under our arms. And so we go to the suite, we knock on the door, and the door opens up, and it's like, what's in the bag? It's like, well, alcohol is a party. And it's like, you can't come in with the alcohol. It's not like that. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like you can't come in. So Pasella he's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
He just pushed the door open. And we just walked in there, right? And we're just handing out beers to everybody. We're like, hey, we're party. And so, oh my gosh, we got way more than we bargained for. It was a weird furry party, but these were professionals. So it was like Dave Garcia. I can't remember some of those like underground or indie guys that drew like Panda Con and Fish Police or whatever these things were, but they were artists, and they were just sitting around drawing, no alcohol, no entertainment. They were just sitting around drawing different characters having sex with each other. So it'd be like Roadrunner having sex with, like one of their characters or whatever. It was weird, man. So we were thinking like, oh, we got a place to party. They grossed us out so bad we couldn't stick around. So we just ended up walking around the streets and, in San Diego and just boozing it up. But my real story is,
did you take the beer back before you left?
We didn't hand out much. Those guys were like, oh no.
First beers they ever had.
They were so scared, man. They were frightened of us. They really were. And
real people.
Probably rightly so. And so this is years later, a few years back. So this is in Austin, Texas. We got a con. My daughter and I are going to go to, and so we were running behind, like to get to the airport. And my wife's a big taskmaster, and she doesn't like to be late for anything. So she's like, "Got this, get this," And so we got a kid. Everything's going kind of nuts. The animals, just everything's hitting the fan at the same time, right? So I have all the luggage and stuff like that I'm bringing downstairs, and it's like a little bit of a spiral staircase down. And I slipped, and my foot kicked out. And I hit the side of the banister, and oh my God, I just bam, right? But there was so much going on, no time to slow down, right? So we get to the airport, we have a layover in where was it? Oh my gosh, I can't remember now. Phoenix. It was Phoenix. And so I'm on one of those moving staircase, those moving sidewalks, and I got all this stuff. And then my daughter's like, "Come on, old man!" Like she's yelling at me, like, "You're going too slow. We're gonna miss our flight." And I'm like, "Okay, I got like 100 pounds worth of stuff on my back. You carry some stuff, and then we can move faster." And so she's like, "Yeah, no problem." She just grabs it from me. She's like, she's like all winded and stuff, and she could barely make it through like one of those sidewalks. And so we finally get there, and we get on our flight. We get to Austin. We get picked up. Everything's looking good. The promoter is like, he's like, "Here's your room." Like he paid for everything. He brought us to the room and everything. And so he was going to take us out to dinner. I'm like, "Yeah, this is going to be great." And I said, "I just have to do one thing first." So I took my shoe off, my sock off. I go, my foot's just been hurting this whole time. And I pulled it off. And my big toe was like 3 times the size. I had like swelling all the way up my leg. I had like purple and black veins all the way up to my thigh. Like I must have broke my foot. And so my daughter's like, "Come on, old man." Like she's doing all this shit and everything. And it turns out I had a broken foot. And so and then my wife calls just at that time. She's like, "Did you guys make the flight okay and everything?" And whenever I'm in like really a lot of pain, I just kind of laugh. I just kind of hysterical laugh. And my wife's like, "What's going on? Why'd your dad laugh?" Like
why? What's so funny?
And so I just go, "Amanda, give me a beer from the refrigerator," because it's fully stocked. Like this was awesome hotel, so fully stocked bar. And so he gets out a beer. I go, "Give me another one." So I cracked it open. I'm chugging the thing, and then I put the other one on my foot to help with the swelling. Oh. And so the promoter's like, "What the hell happened to you?" It looked like some kind of horror movie. Like all like the veins in my leg were all black, and they went up my leg. It was crazy. But I'll tell you, it was one of the best shows I've ever done. Like I had a guy working, the promoter, and I had an agent. So the agent worked the table with me. I mean, you don't have to, they can sell artwork for you. So he was actually making contact, because you're drawing. So he's talking to people. You looking for artwork? Like, he was just a great salesman. So I sold a bunch of originals, and then before I knew it, I had a full schedule to draw. And so I'm just drawing, and all I have to do is draw, right? I don't have to really talk and interact too much. So I'm just making a bunch of money. And then some guy, I think he ran the con. He goes, "How much you charging for those?" Because when you have inexpensive drawings and they're really good, the word gets around the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a line now, and so he goes, "How much you selling those for?" I'm seeing them everywhere. I go like $40 or whatever for a headshot. He goes, "You could double that." And so I wasn't real sure, so I just had my agent, so he'd be the bad guy. I go, "Just charge $10 more." And he goes, "Okay." So he charged 10, 20, 30. I had like tripled my head sketches, my price before the end of the evening. And oh my gosh, I made so much money. I worked my ass off, but I made so much money at that show. It was like a San Diego Comic-Con in Austin, Texas. So it was like
to have your foot fixed.
Yeah, it was the worst times, the best of times. Yeah, it was a great show, but holy crap, man, my foot hurt like hell.
Art, the good thing is that didn't happen when you were a teenager, because if it did, the medicine they had back then, they would have had to amputate your leg.
Yeah, and he'd be hooked on opiates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't have been bad, though.
Yeah. Drinking laudanum.
They would have told you to bite on that belt and just cut it right
on the pin. Yeah. No, it was good. It was really, really good. It was probably one of my favorite con experiences, other than the foot.
Yeah. Well, goes without saying. Okay. Well, we got okay. Here, okay. I got a couple, but I'll say the one because we're running out of time. I'll leave the root canal for another story. But so I get this invite to go to Boston. Yeah, I know, East Coast, 20 years ago. So I never missed any of my daughters, when she was in the plays, when she danced recital, never missed one, except I had this show scheduled for Boston, and I had to miss this one, this play she was in at school. So I felt bad about that, but it's life, right? So I get on the plane. I got stuck in a middle seat, but I got stuck between two engineers, and we had very interesting conversations this whole 5.5 hour flight to Boston, right? Or 6 hours, whatever it was. So we get about halfway there, and the news starts going around that there's been this terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon, that somebody had, set off a bomb or whatever. And so all these guys and these engineers, they're going there to work on a project or whatever, and they got to go into town. And so now we're all speculating, well, what's going to happen when we get there? Are they shutting the town down? What's going on? Because we're getting little bits of information, right? And so it was very unclear what was going on. But by the time we landed, there was sort of this, well, I guess it was before we landed, we heard, they got one of the guys and the other one's on the run. And we're figuring, okay, well, they'll catch him, right? It won't be that big a deal.
And then we'll put him on the cover of Rolling Stones.
That's right, and make him a hero. So they landed, we get there. I get caught up on the news that there's still this huge manhunt going on for this guy, and they've shut down Boston, right? Everything is canceled. You can't get in the city or whatever. And I'm like, holy crap. So I called and I felt so bad for the guy, the promoter. I called him up and I said, dude, what's going on? He goes, they shut us down. They canceled the whole show. The whole thing's a bust. He says, you can go to your hotel if you want and stay for 3 days and enjoy yourself. And I go, I'm not going into Boston for 3 days and be stuck in my hotel room and not be able to leave because they're having this manhunt, right? But the show was canceled. So there I am sitting in the airport and I'm like, Judas Priest, what do I do? So I said, I might as well friggin' go back home. So I went back, stood in line, went up to the ticket gate, showed him my return ticket, and I said, can I get bumped? Do you have a flight later tonight? And she looks at the ticket. And I heard this about 20 times this night. They go, well, you just got here. And I go, yeah, I know I just got here. And I explained the situation. I'm like, oh, okay, that sucks. So they booked me on a flight a couple hours later. So I never left the airport in Boston, flew cross country, got back on a freaking plane, and then flew another 6 hours home. And there was no show. There was no nothing. I missed my daughter's play, and I spent 12 freaking hours on a plane in one day just to go from Portland to Boston, back to Portland again. It was
Please tell me
unbelievable.
that you require a business class when you travel.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you didn't even have a legit Boston lager while you were at the airport.
No, I had dinner at a restaurant. I was waiting for my plane. That was about the
Okay.
extent of it.
I have a story. I'll
Nuts.
skip after Fraga. It'll come to me, but I have the counter to that story, Aaron.
You were the terrorist.
Yeah.
It's like, I am the bomb.
He's
What
the
you talking
reason
about?
they shut the city down.
I was an Irish terrorist.
so this is Aaron going through. This is Aaron going through TSA.
Oh, here we go.
Body
Dude,
slam.
every time I showed people my ticket, well, you just got here. I'm like, I know.
So you never did leave the airport, which is great. You could have
No,
went.
I never left the airport.
That's not so bad then.
The flight.
You're like,
though,
I know, but I forgot my favorite pen. I got to go back and get
hours
it.
on- oh,
Then
this
I'll,
was
come back tomorrow.
brutal.
Yeah.
Airports suck.
Yeah.
You should have said to her, Boston. Boston.
That's right.
How the hell did I get here?
What?
What?
You must have taken a wrong turn in Albuquerque.
Yeah, exactly.
I slept through that
Chicago.
layover.
Was my destination.
They
Supposed
kept
to be
telling
in
me to get off
Portland.
the plane, but I. Oh, jeez. So anyway, Fraga, to you.
Oh man.
All right. Well, mine isn't necessarily. Yeah, mine's not necessarily a bad con story, but like a story of bad con people, right?
Uh-oh.
So I'm not going to name names. I'll name cities and I'll name circumstances and some names, but I'm not going to name the person because this person's powerful now. But before this person was powerful, they were just a high school kid. And they wanted me to help them be a guest at their first show that they've never done a show before. And they, I liked the way the guy thought. He seemed very smart. And, I liked seeing this ambition from this 17-year-old kid who's putting a show together. Oh my God. So I do the show, but when I get there, I fly in a day early, and instead of taking me to the hotel, this kid takes me to a comic book shop and tells me I'm going to be doing a signing, which I didn't know.
Now you know
Right?
why it's powerful.
Yeah, I didn't know this. So I do this signing, and I think I'm going to go to, and this goes for a couple hours. Then I go to, I think I'm going to my hotel, and I go to another store to do another signing. Same day, okay? So this kid's taking me from store to store. So I find out later that those signings, they paid him a fee to have me, and he used that fee to pay for me to fly out and use that fee to help book the place. Like he was really moving and shaking, right? So anyway, the show goes well. I come back the next year and I help him get some guests. In fact, I discovered Pat Lee at one of those shows. Also spent some time with Stephen Platt before he was at Extreme at that show. Anyway, this is 94, 95. Fast forward to 98. I'm in Chicago Comic-Con and I'm having dinner with Jimmy J, Michael Turner, and this promoter. And this promoter is sweet talking Mike, because Mike is hotter than hellfire at this time with Witchblade, and he was the guy. And I say to this promoter, I'm like, "Hey man, I'd like to go to that show too." And he goes, "Oh no." And I said, "Well, why? I used to do your shows back in the day." He goes, "Oh well, your name isn't what it used to be." Right?
Oh
No, that he literally says this to me. And I'm like, okay, and yeah. So I'm thinking, fuck you, you fucking fuck. I helped you fucking start your motor basically. Off my back, you bounced into this thing, and now I'm not big enough to be a guest. And I've been a guest at a couple of his shows since.
Wow.
Yeah, I just
Put it
that
in
was
the private chat because I'm dying to know who this is. I won't say it, but I'm just
yeah, no, but this guy, yeah.
Good idea, Billy.
Yeah, let us all know. So we
Inquiring
can,
minds want to know.
After the show.
Wow,
you
that
go.
is awful. What a douche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, did he? Let me see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Is that when you hate that someone says, "Okay, I'll tell you," and you're like,
I
don't
got
know.
a story
I
about
don't
it.
know.
I got a story
No
about
idea.
that night, too.
No idea.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's just shows you kind of the game, and you know the twist and turn. Somebody's your buddy, and then when they're done with you, they bring you out. And the thing that people don't really consider is that this shit's a long game,
Mhm.
and I'll
You
never forget
consider
that. I'll never forget that. And
someday
It's a small industry too, so
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people. So these stories get out.
Yeah. So there you go. That was my quick and
All right.
easy, because I don't really have a lot of bad show stories. I have a really good time. There was one show was I'm not gonna say the who whats, but one of my cohorts, another guest gave me a synthetic cannabis pill, and it completely knocked me out. Like it wasn't roofie style, but it was. I thought I had gone to outer space.
And then he dropped the N-word.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But it was like 100 milligrams, and I'm used to like 12. So yeah. But I was in outer space, and I remember too, because I was talking with Steve Leeper, and he's really straight laced, and I had eaten a bar burger and some chips, and my friend who was there, he's like on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, I got to take this call," and he walked off, and I'm sitting there talking to Steve, and things were fine, but then it kicked in, and I consider myself a champion. I've been smoking since 1991, and so, but this thing, the whole room kind of did this sort of like sideways thing, and I remember saying to Steve Lieber, and then thinking to my head, yo, this guy isn't going to be okay with me saying, bro, I'm about to trip balls. Because that's what I wanted to say, like, yo, it's about to go down. And, but I literally said, I put some money on the table, and I said, yo, dude, I got to go. This burger ain't sitting right. Like, that's literally.
That was your out. Yeah.
That was my out. This burger ain't sitting right. And I remember going back to my hotel, and the hall felt like Bionic Man in the with the fucking spinning shit.
Okay.
Like,
do you ever do this move, Dan, where you put one foot on the floor
and the other hand on the wall?
Yeah, just to stabilize yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, yeah. I'm okay. Yeah.
So I get in my room, I call my wife, and then I just remember it being like really cosmic, and then getting like the fear, like major anxiety, like I am not in control of my thoughts. I could shit and piss myself right now and it wouldn't make a difference. Like
I was in that state
Yeah.
at Anaheim Stadium at a Van Halen show.
Okay. You get it. Yeah,
God.
you get it. And I remember saying to God, like, yo, I need to get out of this. And I just remember like laying down and then waking up. And I was like an hour late for the show, and I look at and I got a text from my buddy, and he's like, "Yeah," and it's like right around the time like I should have been at the bar. Yo, where'd you go? You okay? Well, okay, man.
Outer space.
Yeah, I hope I didn't kill you, bro. And then I texted him back, "I'm alive."
Remember Brian Murray?
Yeah, of course I do. Okay. I talk to him almost every day.
We're in San Diego, right? And so he's like, he pulls out this bag. He has like a bunch of mushrooms, right?
Yes.
So he's like, trip on some of these, right? So we're just, there's a bunch of us, and we're just like, we're just walking around this hotel lobby, just chewing on stems. Yeah. And so then it's like, Brian's like, oh man, there's fucking Julie Schwartz. And I'm like, oh my God, Julie Schwartz. And I was like, we're walking over, and just then it hit. and there's like these chandeliers, these like beautiful crystal chandeliers, and all of a sudden they start moving on their own in the wall, and I'm like, oh fuck, and then I'm like, hey Julie,
Oh my
how
God.
the hell are you, man?
Okay, great.
The
Yes.
good thing about like mushrooms, I can recommend those, is they get out of your system way quicker than marijuana will. So when you're tripping like that on marijuana, I had
It depends on your doses, really.
yeah, but
Reefer addicts, Graham.
yeah, I found it
Hippies.
went out of my system a lot faster than
Yeah.
You
marijuana.
darn
this
hippies.
reminds me of the Chicago Con in the early '90s, late '80s, where I met Mr. Thibert for the first time.
Oh shit!
Uh,
Was they stoned?
Do you remember the Rosemont Hotel where they used to have the near the
Oh, yeah.
airport, where the hotel, the bar was in the center of the hotel, and then you had the two different rooms for the shows and stuff, and then at the end of the night, everybody would meet in the bar. But there was also that was the outside bar, but there's also like a dark sit down lounge area there. So I'm in this lounge area, and I think. I know Jerry Ordway is there. Juergens might have been there. Carlin was there, and a bunch of other people, and me. And Art came up, and Jerry Ordway introduced us. And I think, did you have a ponytail
Probably
back in the day? Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
He definitely had longer hair, and I just remember this guy coming up, and and Jerry goes, "Oh, hey Graham, this is our Thibert," and he's like, "Hey man."
Mike Carlin used to make fun of me. Like Mike Carlin was just like, man, you're just like so Southern California, man. The way you talk.
Yeah, but then Jerry Ordway, he introduced. He goes, "This is Art Thibert," and then he looks at me and he goes,
What are you gonna do?
Oh, man.
Exceptional.
And then
I remember
years later when Art and I got to know each other on the Bros and stuff like that, I told Art that, so he doesn't have any memory of it.
No.
That's awesome.
Drugs will end you, son. Drugs will end you.
I do remember because everybody in New York was like, "Oh man, he's so SoCal," the way I talked and everything. And I always lived at the beach. And then I remember this was at one of Mark Silvestri's parties in Malibu, and so Joe Rubenstein comes up. This first time I ever met him face to face. He starts playing with my long hair. He's playing with the hair, and I'm like,
Rubenstein?
Yeah,
that checks out.
Like
Joe's a weird guy.
Yeah, he's a little strange. And so and then he goes, Art Thibert, right? I go, yeah. He goes, why aren't you blonde? And then he said, why aren't you tan? And I go, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. So
He imagined you as some beach bum.
yeah, I think so. I think he just I was just the stereotypical beach guy. Yeah, which I obviously wasn't.
Artie likes to party.
Creepy.
Billiam.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got a counter to
Billiam.
Aaron's story at that
I
same
never heard
Boston
that.
show. Aaron, that was when they captured him. So the city was shut down. I called the promoter. It was
You were at that show?
Yeah, I was going to that show.
Oh
I was
shit!
going.
Small
I
world.
think the show was a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I remember calling him, and I'm like, is it is the show still on? Or Debbie called him. He's like, yeah. So we're driving up there, and this is when he ended up being caught, I think, in the town next door to my wife's best friend's town in Boston, outside of Boston, whatever the town was. And we're going there, and that's when they canceled the show. But when we got there, we got to watch the capture and all that stuff. Because I think the bombing was on Monday, so the whole city was shut down. But he said the show was going to be open, but come Friday they still didn't catch that guy. And then that's when they did catch him and all this stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I think that the marathon was on Monday. Someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cool thing with us is that we were driving there. The show gets canceled. We're up there in Boston, so we got to hang out with my wife's college roommate and her family, and just drank all weekend. It was great because then they celebrated. They caught him. that night.
Right.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, I just remember when that happened. I was like, you got all these security cameras, you have all these checkpoints and everything, and still a terrorist with the bomb got in a very public place and set it off. I was like, all this airport security, all this stuff, it's just a waste of time.
You can smuggle in a pressure cooker, which is what the bomb was. It was a pressure cooker.
Right.
And how do you sneak that in a crowd of people? In
a backpack, I guess.
I mean, I was driving to the airport at like 5 a.m, and I knew this was going on. And so I was listening to the radio for anything that would say, hey, they're shutting Boston down, because I was like ready to go back home and go to bed, right? But nothing came on the radio that gave any indication that they were going to, they were manhunting the guy, but that it was like, that they were shutting the city down or anything. I got to the airport and I checked in with the flight people. I'm like, do we know anything about is Boston getting shut down? No, it's fine. It's fine. And then, of course, halfway there, everything
right,
gets
so
shut
if you
down.
stayed and the show would have opened, because they caught him on Friday. I'm almost positive it was that Friday. Because the bombing, I'm looking at, was on Monday, the day of the bomb. So, but then the city opened. So we're like, wow! So it was a grand old time.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, it's like, but the guy couldn't do the show, and it was
they canceled it on him.
Right, and and that's the thing I couldn't figure out, because by the time I got to the airport, they had caught him, and I was like, well, then but I guess they were still didn't know who else was involved and all that kind of stuff, and everything was locked down. So it was like,
well, since 9/11, I mean, that could have just been a precursor to something, way
that's
worse.
true. That's true.
Can I tell a good con story, like a fun?
No, absolutely not.
All right.
It's got to involve actual people you actually know and not made up.
No, so it was.
I'm going to overrule because it's my show. Yeah. So I'm going to overrule and allow Billy to tell a good con story.
Oh, thank you, my friend. And if any of you were there, you're welcome, because it was the Motor City Comic Con 1996.
I probably was there.
Snowstorm.
Nope.
The show was on. It was a snowstorm.
Was Tom Savini there?
I don't remember if he was there.
Maybe. I feel like I was at that show.
Sounds familiar.
So anyway, the show, the show, we do the show, but that night there's a massive snowstorm. Remember, everybody stayed in the same hotel. We're all in the lobby down there.
Right.
And somebody ordered 30 pizzas for everybody.
Ooh, shit. That sounds like a party. Yeah.
That was fucking me.
Oh,
that was
hell yeah, Billy.
Yeah, I ordered 30 pizza pies. So the cool thing was we were all hanging out, or maybe Brian Polito. I think me and Brian.
How'd they get delivered in a snowstorm?
I was going to say, so there's an awful snowstorm, and Billy's like, I'm going to make somebody's night awful.
Yeah,
Billy knows
ordering
the
30 pizzas.
Detroit pizza. No, because but the cool thing was that everybody couldn't leave because we weren't going to go anywhere. So everyone stayed there. I ordered all the pizzas, and like I said, I think Brian Polito and I split the bill.
I was pissed because I already ate by the time the pizzas showed up, and I was stuffed. And I was like, if I'd known there was free pizza, I was looking for you, man. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
It's trying, man.
What's Graham supposed to eat?
Yeah, what's Graham supposed to eat then?
That's right. It's true.
Graham, what are you doing carbs then?
I eat the delivery guy.
Protein.
Sorry, kid. It's a storm.
Slow cook
right.
with a ton of butter.
I'll start with your thigh.
No, but that was a fun night.
Meat there.
That was a fun night. Everybody, there was so many comic guests there. It was a really good time. Fun time.
Yeah, I used to go to that Motor City Con like practically every year for a while.
Me too. That was a great show.
I went to Motor City Con and I rode the bus thing over to the con from the airport, and I got to sit next to Julie Schwartz, and he had some pretty girls, probably wives of other guys that were in the bus, sitting next to him. And boy, what a dirty old man! I mean, he just, he couldn't help himself. Then at the show, this young kid come up to me, and he wanted to be a writer. And, he was talking to me, and, I gave him some pointers and stuff like that. And then years later, he wrote me and told me that I was very encouraging to him, and he never forgot it. And it was Jeff Johns.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really?
Yeah. Well, wow. I have a story similar to that, is that at the Chicago Comic-Con, I was auctioning off my a sport bike, my motorcycle I had. It was a custom, really beautiful motorcycle for the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. And my wife's like, "You gotta get rid of that thing. You're gonna get killed on it." I'm like, "Okay." And it's a Bimota, so it was the fastest production motorcycle at that time made. So I drove to Chicago with it in the back of the pickup truck, and I'm trying to unload it, and this kid is there, and I'm like, "Yo, kid, you're a big kid. Can you help me? I need you to help me balance." So I had to take this motorcycle off the bed of the truck on the ramp. He's like, "Yeah, sure." Big kid, he helps me down. We do it. I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much. You want to come by? I got books, I got prints, whatever you want." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." Blah blah blah. It was Robert Kirkman.
No way.
Yeah, so I was
cool.
on a panel with him like 10 years later. It was all about him, and he told me that story. I'm like, "Holy shit, that was you!" So that's a true story, Aaron. That's true.
Those are the kind of things that come back. It's like you be a good human being. Help those people that want to be where you're at. Help elevate them, and it comes back. Comes back to you.
We should do a follow-up, and we should do like inspirational stories or
famous people we've helped.
Famous people we made.
I love that's
famous
a great
people
topic.
Made.
I wouldn't say
Well,
made,
Art,
but
when
like
it rolls
I
back
got
around to you, I guess you got your topic.
a short list. Yeah, I got a short list of people. Yeah.
And maybe vice versa, the person that you went to as a fan and talked to at a show that either encouraged you or discouraged you.
I got a short list on that one too.
Discouraged you enough to make you angry, so you worked harder.
That's right.
People have been bugging me to bring back the trivia contest.
Yeah, pretty much.
They have to do that on.
Well, you're next, aren't you?
I know, yeah.
Oh, great.
People want trivia. So.
Just give me another shot at the Kiss topic.
Yeah,
Well,
man,
I'll put rock and roll in there for you.
Make
I
it
dropped the
something
ball last
late
time.
70s on, because like half the time I'm like, what are you guys even talking about?
Yeah, but Dan, that's the fun of it. I don't want to ask you questions because then it's
think
fun.
about the flip side. When you ask the questions before that time period he's talking about, you're asking questions that Billy and Graham know.
That's right.
I know, and that's why I ask them.
Fine. You're not in the game, so it doesn't matter.
Bear knows them all.
I know.
And just do me a favor, no history stories, because Billy.
Oh, history's
good at
fun.
it.
History's
I love
fun.
that. That's all I know.
But anything that's like very specific to motorcycles and their model numbers, just throw them all in there.
Never get over that one. Never get
Well,
over
it's like you guys don't ask any comic book questions because we don't know anything about comics.
I know.
I'm
ask
fine with
movie
that.
questions.
No, you need to ask those.
And I'm anti-Lego questions too.
That's right. And Graham's like, nothing about candy. I don't eat sweets. I'm like, all right, no
You
candy.
know what, Aaron? We'll send you a list after the show.
Yeah, questions that are acceptable.
Actually, Aaron, send us the questions like 2 days in advance, and we'll approve them.
I'll be like quiz show, and then
Yeah.
there'll be controversy. I'll end up in jail.
The Hogarth
Dan, did
story.
you not hear?
I thought I did. He drew all over my samples, and when I went to show them to people, I had to say, "Don't mind the Sharpie. That's just Bern Hogarth."
And then you lost them.
I lost them in a storage unit.
In a storage unit.
Yeah, I wish I still had them.
I saw Bern Hogarth and Gil Kane at a New York Comic Con in the early 80s when I was at the Thibert School. A bunch of us went into the show. And I remember thinking to myself then, Bern Hogarth got up there and he just ragged on the comic industry. He just ran it down. And then Gil Kane got up there and he like was reading the audience and he just like boosted it up, basically saying that, Bern Hogarth's kind of cranky old man here type of thing. But now when I look back at it, well, yeah, but you know what? He might not have been wrong about a lot of stuff he was saying even back then, But I didn't want to hear it because I wanted to get into that industry.
You want the fantasy, you don't want the reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeff Smith told me the story about Bill Malden at the American Cartoonist Society dinner. And he was the big special guest, and he was up there making a speech. And this is probably 94, 95. And he was just miserable. Hated the newspaper syndicates, how the newspapers screw you over. And he was just put a big black cloud when he left. It was like,
oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
he had to
like,
be pretty old.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was old. He was up there. You got to think he was probably in late 80s or something like that, maybe 90s. And he just tore
He
It's
probably
all the
thought he was
cartoons,
doing a good deed, man. Just letting everybody know that the industry is it's a tough
Yeah.
place.
Don't ever ask old guys to speak. That's for sure. They'll give you the truth.
Yeah.
I give you the truth. Yeah, I remember I
seen
was at
some shit.
a Reuben Awards one time, and Will Eisner was giving the award out for the best comic book, and so he walks out on stage, and the band is up there, and so his entrance song was the Batman song, da 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 da, and everybody's laughing and everything, and particularly at that point, and it's still true today, the NCS was very, very cliquish and was still very much, we're strip oriented, comics are the low man's totem pole, even though, that pendulum had switched many, many years earlier. But they're making fun of this award that's going out. And Eisner got up there, and after the song was finished, and he heard the snickering, he laid into the audience. He says, nice. All right, everybody's having a good laugh at this, but I'm here to tell you that the best artwork being done in the medium today is in comic books. He just, and I stood up. I was like, yeah, Will.
That's great.
Like these guys, these cartoonist guys who aren't doing any work. They're just slopping out these shitty drawings with no perspective or anything. None of them are the great cartoonists of yore.
Charles Schultz.
But they're riding on those coattails.
It's amazing how they look down upon comic artists, especially back then.
Yeah,
because we were all making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the money was in the strips. The money was in the strip. So they thought they were everybody aspired to get that because they wanted the money.
Well, those guys were also getting licensing deals. A lot of their strips were being picked up by Hollywood and cartoons and movies and things like that.
But that paradigm has changed because nobody reads newspapers anymore. Those strips are dying. The syndicates, they're being shrunk even smaller and smaller on the page. And the newspapers are cutting them right and left. It's like, so that's a dinosaur right there. Whereas like graphic novels, comic books, the stuff we're doing, we're exploring different ways to get those stories across, but there's still an avenue for those stories, for that kind of entertainment. Whereas gag-a-day strips, you're in, you're out. It basically is being relegated to just an internet daily, and it's not making, it's not paying. You're not living in Stamford, Connecticut, knocking off at 4:00 with a bourbon and golfing. Like those guys do.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. Okay, there's Bill Watterson and there's Calvin and Hobbes, right? And I still go back and forth with this. Like,
I got that.
He never. Oh, cool. He never licensed or went beyond. Like, he made his money off the strip, and that was it. And so there's a side of me that still ponders this question every once in a while. Like, why did he not ever do that? And like
his own personal mantra, it's like he believed in the strip. It was designed as a strip, and he loved it for that. And he didn't want to be Mort Walker, and he didn't want to be Charles Schultz. He wanted the strip to stand on its own.
Do you think it made enough money for him in the day that he's still doing well?
Oh yeah, do those Calvin and Hobbes books?
Oh, Calvin and Hobbes, he's set because he never sold the original art. There's only a few of those out there.
And he gave him his gifts, right?
Right. He would give him his gifts.
I wish I was.
I know,
and that
but he wouldn't sell them.
Hundreds of paper.
Well, I just think sometimes,
thousands.
sometimes like Charles Schultz, like, would he have been the icon if there were never those cartoon specials? Like would Dr. Seuss have been anything without the cartoon specials? I know he wasn't comic strips, but it's the same type of thing where sometimes if you can do like get into TV or in a different market, that you can have kind of like immortality. Like, I don't know where Calvin and Hobbes is going to be generations from now.
Right. Because no one will remember it because there won't be. I mean, I guess maybe there'll still be collections and stuff, but it won't have the prominence that it did for us when we were actually the guys experiencing it and reading it. Because there's nothing to carry on the legacy beyond.
Think about
like
it. Still left I think it's still left a really big mark for a strip that only ran for 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it only
it
ran
was
for 10 years.
It was a huge mark.
Brilliant.
That strip. I mean, that and the Far Side were the
Yeah,
two
Far
biggest
Side.
strips of that era. And
Yeah.
there's been nothing since. There's been
It's
nothing
weird.
since.
I still find Calvin and Hobbes charming, but the Far Side doesn't make me laugh like it used to.
Yeah, it's kind of cynical.
It's probably because there's so many derivations of it. People have ripped it off for years.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of watered it down so that when you see the original stuff, you're like, I
Right.
sort of saw that,
I don't know, man. I love the Far Side. I still do. It still
me
cracks
too.
me up.
I did when they came out, but I've got all the collected, and I went back and I'm like, I'm not laughing as hard.
Yeah.
But
as
everybody, do yourself a favor tonight. If you have any of those collected Calvin and Hobbes, read them before bed. Those
are the
things are
best.
so good. My wife
they're
and I
great.
used to do that for years. Just before bed, you just read a few pages of it, and you're in a good mood. You can sleep. It's great.
Do you remember Herman? Jim
Yes.
Unger's strip, Herman?
Yeah.
That one was always funny to me. These frumpy people, the way he would draw them cracked me up. Like, I just remember this one strip where this guy is sitting at a restaurant and looking at his bowl, and there's a salad in there, and the waiter is standing over him, and the waiter says, "Of course it's half eaten. You ordered the chef's salad."
I like the Far Side one where you see the people in the plane and they're like, hang on, everyone. We're going to be experiencing a little bit of turbulence. And all of a sudden, the plane goes like this, whoa. And then you cut to the cockpit. And the two pilots look at each other like, that was great. You want to do it again? He's like, yeah. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be coming through some more. Like the pilots are fucking around.
Doing a loop-de-loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Good
yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
I remember growing up, my dad sat at one end of the table. I'd sit at the other. He'd toss me the comics section in the morning so I could read it. Love that.
Do you remember Charles Rodriguez? He used to do a lot of like edgy cartoons. I can't remember what market he was in. I don't think it was. He might have done some stuff in Playboy, in that ilk, But his stuff was really edgy looking and sort of pushed the barriers too on the humor. But I always remember this one strip where this guy, again, another restaurant, when he's sitting in this fancy restaurant with a tablecloth and he's holding his menu in front of him, and sitting across from him is like this giant fly, you know?
Yeah.
And the fly is sitting there with a menu too. And the guy says to the waiter, he says, "Yes, I'll take the beef bourguignon with the asparagus with the béarnaise sauce, and bring some shit for my friend."
That's so good.
And bring some shit from my friend. That was funny.
Art's hours at hand. The dog is now stalking him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we better cut out now.
Yeah.
We've been on
Before it gets violent, before the
2.5
blood starts to
hours.
flow.
That's right.
And we got to save Art's nose. We just can't have that.
He's vicious. Poochifer.
Hey,
That's
everybody,
right.
thank you for the super chats. Thanks for everybody in the chat that showed up for the bros. We really appreciate. We love each and every one of you. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, and do the same for all my friends here. And all of our links are listed in the description for current projects that we all have going. If you're a supporter of independent art forms and independence in general, please take a look at those links. And if you see stuff you like, please back it. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
It's how we bring great content out into the world. So
Yes, sir.
everybody have a great night. We will see you back here next Tuesday for Aaron Lopresti's on Aaron Lopresti's channel, and it might be a trivia night.
Might be.
Until then,
Never know.
adios.
See ya.
everybody.
Bye.